Welcome into another Tuesday night evening blend with Matson. I am Pop Blender, and there he is, version 4 Snake Eyes Custom. Did I get that right?
Yep. I was going to say, look what I got in early. No.
Yeah, right. If you had a dial tone in your hands
Yeah,
and
no
you
kidding.
got him, if you got him early, I would
Yeah,
be salivating right now as I've been waiting.
me too, brother. Me too, since January.
I saw a comment today on the what's the name of the show? The four bald guys, or the bald guys with the mom that's angry and cuts the stream off, or can't remember the name of it, but I'm having trouble with
I know
that
they're a bunch of
somehow.
jerks, and they're in a
Yeah,
bald jerks in a circle or something, right?
jerky, but the jerky baldies, the jerky boys, bald jerky guys, something like that. Anyway, I'm having trouble remembering that name. One day in about 6 months, I'll remember it. I'll remember the name of the show.
Maybe when they come up with their own commercial.
Maybe come up with a really good name for the show, right?
I don't know. I think it's accurate.
You're probably right. I was lurking, as we like to say, lurking in the shadows, and they were going over the new stuff, which we'll go over here in a minute, and I thought it was funny because, well, shit, I lost my train of thought now. I don't know what I'm going to say.
Derailed.
Oh, no. Derailed. There was a comment by someone who said, I got an email. And I'm so glad somebody else did this, because this happened to me.
Yeah.
I got an email saying that dial tone was on the way.
Yep.
And I hadn't heard anybody else say that. And,
no, there's Punk said it. I was saying it. There's other people that said it too.
Okay, because I just, maybe I missed that. Maybe missed it as a comment in a stream, right? Whatever.
Yeah, Hasbro had to address it, and they said this was a mistaken email. It wasn't supposed to go out.
Okay, good. Because and how do I say this? I'm not on the Facebook pages, and I don't keep up as much. Yeah, I got that email, and I was like, what the hell? And then here it is. I'm watching the stream, and I see somebody actually say, hey, I got this email, and they said it was on the way, and then obviously there's no shipping now. And so yeah, that happened to me. I've mentioned it a few times, but that was the first time personally that I'd actually seen that from someone else. But obviously, if everybody's been talking about it, then I am just a loser. And
it wasn't talking about widely. A lot of people were just like silently excited, and then when they came out and said it was bogus, everybody's like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's a bummer, because I did love that figure as a kid. He was one of my favorites, and I really don't know why. Like, I can't break down, and
I know why.
Welcome into a Tuesday night evening blend where we don't just like do a monologue like your favorite comedian Jimmy Kimmel. Matthew, we don't do we don't do a monologue, and we don't whatever. We get right into it.
Yep.
I don't know why dial tone was a favorite of mine as a kid. He was very hard to find here, as 3-Star and I have mentioned often, and he and his mother actually bought him for me because they actually found him. And but I don't know why he was one of those favorites of mine. But I know
why
just
he was a favorite of mine.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I had this thing about berets, right? Stalker, Flint, Falcon, dial tone. They all had berets, and I was like, okay, if you're wearing a beret, you're special forces, right? You're a badass, right? This is a communication guy, and he's got this cool little mustache, and he runs around with the beret. So he was always my super spy that I used. With all the stuff, and his thumbs broke off, so I actually glued a pistol into his hand so he could hold the pistol.
No, I mean, look, we've all, anybody that's watching that collected the Joes knows about the crotch pieces and the thumbs, right? Those were just
the most amazing one was my rock and roll. Okay, my rock and roll, he never lost his thumb. He lost the other 4 fingers.
Stop it.
This part of it snapped off.
I had a couple of those guys too. I know I had a couple of those guys.
So I only ever saw it on Series 1 figures. Before the swivel arm battle grip, the original first run of figures, first year figures, they had that issue because they were much thicker plastic, and you couldn't hardly get any kind of weapon in there at all.
Especially if you try to tuck the stock.
Oh no, there's none of that stuff happening.
Into that was obviously for all of us, that is literally the reason why you lost thumbs on those, was because you tucked the stock in under the arm, right? And and of course because that was only natural. You'd see those pictures of them holding a gun and the stock would be over here. And it was like, no, of course nobody holds a gun like that. Are you kidding me? And then you try to bring the left arm over, right, the left hand to hold, to hold it, and then eventually that thumb would give way. And but now the crotch pieces, though, I mean, listen.
Hey man, that was just
I don't know. I don't know why that was. I don't know what happened. The thumbs, I understand. The crotch pieces, I don't know.
Well, so they started making more narrow cross pieces so that the legs would bend easier, right?
Right.
And in doing so, it overstressed them, and then they ended up snapping most of the time, like my poor Zartan.
Folks, listen, I'm going to tell you, there is nothing worse than an overstressed crotch piece. There's nothing worse than an overstressed cock piece.
Death by
what did I just say?
Death by snoo.
I can't even say it straight. Overstressed crotch piece is what I meant to say. Cock piece doesn't sound right. But anyway, moving on.
So I'm just going to jump right into this chat then.
Jump in. Go right in.
It's on
Let's
topic.
do it.
Dreadnought K6, hello, welcome, and Creamery, Circle of Jerks. A couple of cucks. I don't understand the sexual nature of the names. Well, we're a bunch of guys in our 40s and 50s who are still playing with action figures and toys. We might be a little immature, but all of these things have other connotations that they came from, and they just became a thing. Circle Jerk is a band, right? So Circle of Jerks,
It's also another name. It's also another name for the game of Soggy Biscuit, but we're not going to get into that.
Whoa!
We're not going to get into that. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then I'll go to this one here. It says he never liked Dial Tone and got him early. Well, you can send him my way if you don't like him.
I heard that, Dreadnought. So you're one of the lucky few. Right, you're one of the lucky few that actually did get him, and I heard that earlier on the what's it, the bald fucks? What is it called? The baldy pissed off guys, something like that. Anyway, whatever that stream's called. It's I heard them talking about that a few people did get it, and that maybe there's production issues and whatever, and I don't want to belabor it or go on and on about it, but yes, you're Dreadnought. Love you, baby. You know that. And I'm glad you have him. And if you don't want him, you can send him my way or Matthew's way. Send him my way. But anyway, so let's say hello to a few people. A few people at the very least that are in here hanging out. And I'm sure as we go along, we'll add a few more along the way. I know how it is. I say it every week, but people bounce from stream to stream and YouTube video to YouTube video. But we're here to have a good time and cut up and all that stuff. So if you hang with us, I really appreciate it. Matthew appreciates it as well. 3-star draw first in the comments. You better man, when I saw Prince like 12 times, that was one of his favorite sayings.
You better recognize.
He would stop the band. He'd be like, band, on the one. And they'd stop. And he'd be like, you better recognize. So you better recognize 3-star draw first in the chat.
That's it.
Same time toys, replay squad. Love it. 5 a.m. sharp. I know Shane has a new work schedule, which really sucks because that's kind of thrown off his streaming and had a fun thing going on Friday afternoons and stuff. He's had to change that. And with Woody Triple Deuce. So, Shane, always a pleasure for you to stop in. And of course, Replay Squad, 100%. Hit that like button, y'all. It really helps, definitely.
Yep.
And obviously the comments throughout the stream are always wonderful. Dreadnought K6, as we always said, he said, damn you two. Uh, Damn us for maybe filling up your Tuesday night for a couple hours with some banter
or was he
bullshit.
talking to the two people that commented before him that he didn't get here early enough?
I think you're correct. I think you are correct and not me. And that's what's so funny about it. It's like sometimes I'll send a comment and it's off of a comment that somebody was saying during the stream.
Right.
But if you don't really spell it out, like if you don't really go the extra mile to say, yeah, speaking of the blah, 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 I thought it was really stupid that they had, no thumbs, whatever, something.
Yeah, right.
And so if you just say, no thumbs, or then it's kind of funny, like when comments come in and you have to parse it out and figure out, okay, what the hell was that? And so I think
it's hard to do when you're on. It's hard to do when you're on a live stream, and some people roll with it really well, like Punk, and some people get really upset, but they misunderstood the entire comment. Like,
dude,
I don't know,
you're
Tony.
so right. Yes. That look, anybody that's in this stream right now, I'm sure remembers when Tony was like, "Well, fuck you, dude. You don't speak English, motherfucker." Okay, well, it just went off on this poor guy, and then that guy's probably like,
what the hell?
I ain't watching this shit. Like, screw these guys.
What the hell?
We all remember that for sure. Like 100%. Joe Fan 84 is here, always here, man. And thank you so much. And I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling better. I hope the back is good, man. I will always remember that for the rest of time, as long as I'm on YouTube and streaming. Joe Fan, I'll remember that. So I hope you're feeling better. Bobby Wold's here. He says, I was watching this episode from the Deke series the other day, and Night Creeper's doing the god-awful cartwheel ninja flips challenging Storm Shadow. I would have to dig that up. I didn't watch much of the Deke series, to be quite honest with you.
So I'll tell you, I was so excited to see that G.I. Joe was back on TV. I had to watch it. And then I remember watching the Dragonfire miniseries, and I thought that was okay. And then after it got into the series, I don't know if I watched the full first season, but I didn't watch any of the second season because I'm like, this is just weird, cheap garbage. I just couldn't do it. I didn't actually watch the whole thing until probably about 6 years ago, when it was on DVD or something. And I picked it up and said, I gotta have it. It's like it's with everything else.
Yeah.
And then I watched the rest of it. And I'm like, oh God, I think I lost an IQ point or two.
Well, it's a shame because obviously the writing of that got much worse, but the voice acting as well.
Yeah.
Like they changed voice actors, they replaced people, they're trying to save money.
And that was super jarring to hear Lady J voiced by somebody else, to hear
agreed.
Low Light voiced by somebody else. It just was tough.
Yeah. And all these years later, you would think I would have gone back and watched some of those episodes, but I just never cared to, because I just remember it being that bad. And as an adult, you also go, you know what? I don't have time for this. Yeah. As a kid, you're more invested, right? But as an adult, I'm like, I don't have time for this, and I don't think I'm going to watch it. And I haven't. So there's many, many episodes. There's probably, honestly, some really golden, funny shit in there that I've just never mined out of it.
There's some characters that people like. There's some interpretations that are interesting, but none of the stories are very good. I mean, it's the lowest brow writing that they could do. It's to the lowest common denominator, and it shows. Whereas the original G.I. Joe series had a little bit of substance to it, and they put some innuendo in there, and they put some subtext in there that is actually really kind of cool, which is, I thought nobody else did it as good as G.I. Joe did back in the 80s. But some people say that that's in Thundercats and stuff like that. And I said, I didn't see that. But
well, as we say hello to Todd C. Always love you, Todd, man. So the Deke series too, the animation wasn't as good.
No,
I mean, it just you can tell, and that's just a turn off immediately.
Yep. They
let
went
alone
to
the
a
voice
different
acting.
animated company
Right,
to do that, and it shows they had to go the cheaper route.
right.
Yeah.
So for me, oh shoot, Rodney Trickshot in the house
What's
from the
up?
land down under. I had a good conversation earlier with Frostbite, GI Joe Repro, which I had not talked to in a while. So it was good to talk to Frosty, man. I hadn't seen him in a while. I was glad to talk to him and catch up a little bit. Menjoza's in the house. Johnny Reno's in the house, and I hate it that I can't get the pictures. I know
Those
if
are
you're
whiskey glasses.
okay. It's
You,
oh no, never mind. Now I get it now because it okay. Love the whiskey glasses. Never knew that. Thought it was the broken picture, not the normal broken picture sign that you
mm.
see when a picture doesn't come through. But I never knew what it was. I'm so
Well,
glad you said that, Matthew, because I
so
had no idea.
here's the deal. When you look at the chat in StreamYard,
Okay.
it will always show those images. When you look at the
On
the one that
YouTube.
just popped up on 3 Star there, what do you see on the one on 3 Star?
So I'm not watching the stream. Okay, I'm not watching
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stream on YouTube. I usually don't.
In
I see
StreamYard,
the fist. He
you see a fist.
he
Okay,
did the pound sign, right?
so some of the emojis show up and some of them don't in
Okay,
StreamYard. Very few of
okay,
them show up in StreamYard.
right,
But I'm in StreamYard on my iPhone and I can see them just fine.
right.
And then you can
Well,
see them on this stream in YouTube.
this now that I know that this is whiskey glasses with an ice cube, then I
Yeah.
gotta say Johnny Reno. All right, love it, baby. Every time from now on, I know it's whiskey glasses, and it's much appreciated, Johnny, for sure. 3 star, let's say 3 star draw. Punk with toys. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up. Put your hands together. Hello,
What's
fools.
up, punk?
Love the everybody kind of has their thing. I have my like slipping this under the door for rent on Monday nights. That's kind of my little thing, little super chat. Hey, I'm just slipping this under the door for rent, which I like to do. And Punk always is hello fools, and I love that. Definitely. Yeah, the Deke stuff, man. Yeah, just not my thing.
Yeah.
I've intermittently watched different episodes, and
I
you
mean,
can tell like the acting's not as good,
yeah.
the animation's not as good, and even though it's still GI Joe, it's just not quite my GI Joe,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
so at that point, I think I was out, and I hate that. I definitely hate that,
Well,
but
I will say
some
that
people love it.
the Operation Dragonfire is worth seeing to see how
Oh,
Cobra Commander
yes,
comes back.
yes.
And then the one where Night Creeper leader steals the Egyptian headdress, and
That sounds
and
good.
maybe Metalhead's mom. I don't know. They're
Oh,
just
wait. I've read about that episode. I've read about the Metalhead's mom. That sounds terrible, doesn't
yeah.
it? Like
Oh yeah.
Metalhead's mom.
And then there's the one with Evie, the female range viper.
But she's no Mara. We all know who Mara. Viper Scout's in the house. War Chest is in the house. I'm gonna be
What's
calling you
up?
War Chest. I'm gonna call you in a little bit, man. I appreciate you stopping by, dude, for real. Yeah, StreamYard definitely is broken, that's for sure.
Well, and it's been
Um
broken, and every update seems to break it a little more.
Triple D's Dungeon. He was here really, really early. If I scroll all the way up, and I mentioned it earlier, he was going to be doing the replay squad, but he's working and has us on the background, man. Hey, keep us on as long as you can, buddy. I really appreciate it, as always. Um, Johnny Reno always shares 5 whiskeys in the house.
Yep.
Dang!
Every time. Every
And,
time.
Deke might be a little bit. Might be a little bit. Goo. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that animation and voice acting. I think it's real bad. And Ryan Trickshot said, "Sorry, Pop Frosty's got me on block." I hate that. I hate that. I really do because I loved and I enjoyed watching you guys and interacting and everything. And that's a shame. But that's all I'll say about that. So
Yeah.
um, all right. So I think we're caught up. I think we're good. At this point, Methed Out Falcon, was that one of the episodes, Matthew?
Yeah, it was.
What?
Hey, they did a whole DEF. a series of
Oh,
the
okay. Got you.
yeah. So Falcon on meth.
That makes sense. That makes
Hence the
sense.
classified figure. You could always be Falcon on meth.
Good God, man. You want to talk about I'm sorry, folks, but that Falcon, that's one ugly son of a bitch. I mean, that's somebody who fell down and hit every branch on the ugly tree. And then when they got to the ground, got run over by a John Deere tractor.
Well,
And
you
then
know,
they made that mold. That's
well, so the story about that's even better, right? I mean, it's a guy who didn't make a face sculpt that was really approved by anybody, but they had to go with it. And it wasn't a great one, but they're like, it's fine. And then they put it in the mold, and the molding process warped it even more. And so just by putting it in a plastic form, it changed the mold even more to make it look like that, where they put the paint out on it and stuff. And they're like, there's nothing we can do now. It's too late.
Sometimes, Matthew, you can't fix ugly.
That's it.
Sometimes you just can't fix ugly, and that's the story of some people's lives, right? It's what it is.
Nah.
Oh shit! All right. So anyway, here we are, Tuesday night, and every Tuesday we start off the top of the show after our monologue. Top
Hey,
of the current box
we
office.
went 22 minutes
Yeah,
before the
we
box
did,
office.
baby. Hey, shit.
Thanks, chat. You kept it going.
Got to keep up, got to catch up, right? Got to get into it, and if it wasn't a Tuesday night, Matthew, we probably could go on and
Oh yeah.
on for a while, but we got to try to keep this thing nice and tight, like my ex-girlfriend. So we're gonna get into the numbers. Got to get into our current box office. So let's jump into it right now. We'll start getting into the news and give you guys an idea of what is happening at the box office as of Monday, April 28th, 2025. These were the numbers that came in last night. And I find these numbers fantastic. I find them awesome. And the reason why I find them awesome is because it's not the number one movie, which is Sinners. And I've heard great things about Sinners. I've heard that Michael B. Jordan absolutely slays it in this movie. It is like a from dusk till dawn. If that, without spoiling anything, gives you guys
Yep.
an idea about this movie. I've heard
Yeah, it's you
got
go
some
in thinking
great.
it's one thing and it's something else.
I've heard it's got great cinematography,
Yep.
as well as great acting.
Yeah.
It's only been out 11 days. 128 million right now this time of year. Good. We'll see what kind of legs it has.
Well,
Um,
it's second week. It didn't drop hardly anything. It's third
right.
week a little bit more because of the next movie on that list.
Well, number two, and I saw it Sunday afternoon. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And holy moly, dude. Like, I mentioned this the other night, Sunday night. Going back and watching this film in the theater, and I haven't seen it in 20 years. Um, there is some great stuff, and then man, there is some bad
Yeah.
dialogue. There's just
Yep.
some bad dialogue. But I guess the main takeaway from this is that this movie made $42 million from Friday until yesterday.
Yep.
And that in itself, I think, is fantastic. You know, a new Star Wars film coming out, we don't know what that's going to do. But seeing Revenge of the Sith in the theaters, the theater I went to, it didn't have a lot of people, but it was a Sunday afternoon. So I don't know what that, looks like as far as across the country. But 42 million. The
Yep.
original, when it came out 20 years ago, it made about $850 million in the theater. So they're adding another 42 to it. But yeah, it was great. I mean, it was awesome. Now, I think this stat's a little misleading. We're right here where it says it's days in release, 7,285.
Yep.
It's a little weird, but yeah, Star Wars Episode 3, it was fun to revisit it for sure. And I don't think you got a chance to go. It's out for a week.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance to go, I would encourage you to go just for the nostalgia of seeing it on the big screen.
Bobby, the re-release has in the week or in the weekend that it's been out has made half as much money as Snow White has for its entire run so far.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, that tells you a lot. I mean, it really does. Like that tells you a whole lot. And
Yep.
then the accountant too, is you know, right there. It's only been out for 4 days, so we'll see. But um, Minecraft movie still holding strong, 380 million. Now this is domestic, by the way, y'all. It's domestic box
Yeah,
office.
yeah, yeah.
But Minecraft movie will have legs. It will be in theaters for a while.
Yep.
Until Dawn is a film that is based off of the Sony PlayStation video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't expect much out of that.
No, yeah, I don't think so.
The video
The
game's much more fun to play.
Did you
Can you
talk
do me a
about the
favor?
accountant too?
Actually, can you mention that for just a second? I'm gonna
Sure.
grab my coffee because I forgot I left it right over there. So
Yeah, yeah.
so you rip it away.
So the accountant too is probably got some legs too. I think that's going to stick around a little bit. You've got John Bernthal and Ben Affleck together again, making it a fun action movie, and people were double featuring it. They were seeing a working man and the accountant too, right? So that they get this double feature of action movies that are primetime action movies. They're fun, they're engaging. They're exactly what you expect them to be, right? Um, and they, as they reprise their characters from the first one, some criticize that Ben's character is not as interesting as he was in the first one, but he's an accountant, right? They said he wasn't as numbers focused in this one. I'm like, whatever. It's just it's fun action. It'll be there. Um, King of Kings is still doing well. We've got a slew of religious movies that are coming out this year, and we were talking about King of Kings just the other day, and thinking, Mark Hamill promoted King of Kings on Blue Sky, and he got booted off of Blue Sky basically, and had to come back to X to start bitching and crying on X again, because people booed him off there. And then I was talking to Pop, and I was like, the only thing he's good at is playing animated villains.
Yeah.
And I went through a whole list. He's got like 6 of them that he's done that he's pretty well known for, about playing animated villains. Maybe that's something about him personally, being an animated villain. I don't know.
I mean, but you know how it is sometimes, like with certain actors that just kind of, they either A, gravitate towards roles, or
Right.
B, these are the roles that are offered,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up pigeonholed into that, or hell, they enjoy it. That's what they
Yeah.
enjoy. I mean,
Yeah.
that could be. I mean, I did find it interesting though. Out of the top 10, Matthew, we've got 2 movies that have been out, right? Like,
Yeah.
now the Pride and Prejudice and Star Wars Episode 2.
Yep.
Pride and Prejudice, that's a movie that, it's this is if I remember right, 2005, right? Yeah, 2005. So you're talking about 2 movies that are in the top 10 that they've been around for a while.
They're
And
both
then
20-year-old movies.
I mean, 20-year-old movies. The now look, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I don't know what the hell Drop is. I don't know what On Swift Horses is. You guys don't either, nor do you give a shit, right? The
Right.
Wedding Banquet. Happy Gilmore.
Oh man.
Happy
That
Gilmore.
that's being released in theaters, or was released in
Well,
theaters?
so this is the deal, y'all, and
Oh,
I'll
that's a
clue you.
re-release. That's a re-release.
Okay,
Okay.
and I'm gonna clue y'all in on something. So there is a slate of movies coming up
Mm-hmm.
over the next few months, and especially into the summer, where movie theaters are putting older movies back in the theater. And
Yep.
regardless of what they gross, they're putting them out so you can go back. This is kind of a new thing. And this is going to become a trend. I think it's going to become a trend of
Yep.
just, putting something out. This is the 20th anniversary,
Right.
25th anniversary, 10th anniversary, whatever.
Yep.
And to add whatever to the kitty that they can.
Right.
And that's kind of the Happy Gilmore situation to me, is kind of like that.
Well, but they're also they're priming it for the sequel.
There is a sequel coming out.
Yep.
It's been filmed. It's being edited right now,
Yep.
and post production. Uh, I don't expect. I don't know. It's hard to
I think
recapture the
I think it's
magic of
going
something.
straight to Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
Adam
most
Sandler signed a big Netflix deal.
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
And Netflix is the only studio game in town these days. They're the only ones making money and producing stuff. So,
100%. Now that may change because I've got a story queued up here in a minute
we'll
that
see.
may change things with Hollywood when it comes to
Yep.
filming. But a story that broke about 5 hours ago. But as we kind of rounded out, Disney's so white. Domestically is sitting at $85 million. That is an absolute wash for them. They
Yep.
lost a lot of money on that, and
At this point, they've lost billions of dollars.
they've. I mean, I don't even know how their investors personally can look at the company and actually feel anything
Well,
other than contempt or anger over the decisions they've made.
they almost had a shakeup in the board this past 2024,
Right,
but the board didn't. They didn't vote the correct way to get that guy on there because he would have come in and streamlined Disney and made it profitable again. But
right.
they didn't really want that. So,
Well, so I think I found a reason, Matthew, why Snow White didn't do so well. And there's a scene that was cut,
was it? Yeah.
but but they put it back into the movie. And once people heard about this scene, they said, I'm out.
Yep.
I can't do this. So here's the scene.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
play it for
Yep.
you
It's a
guys.
great
I'll
scene.
go moo, piggy go. How about you? Going to be an animal just like you. Chicken go cluck cluck, cow go moo, piggy go. How about you? Going to be an animal.
I didn't know this heinous piece of material was in the movie, but this is awful. I'm offended, actually, to be quite honest with you. I'm quite offended. Um,
I like the other one better. The
yeah,
the sling blade.
I have that one too, but this is the newest
Oh yeah.
part of the edit that was added back, and
Mm.
fans are rejecting this version.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Rejecting it wholesale. It's just not doing well for them. I want you to highlight a couple of those starred comments while I go grab my coffee,
All
folks.
right. All
I
right.
made my coffee with a Keurig. I forgot to put the pod in it, so all I had was a thing of hot water, and I'm just not really into drinking hot water at this point in my life.
Why not? What's wrong with hot water? Are you
It's
prejudiced against hot water?
I've I've been told that I'm. Anyway, I'm gonna go grab my hot water while you pull up those starred comments, okay?
All right. All right, Totsy Falcon did get shot in the face in the comics. I remember he's patching himself up, and that's when I actually learned that one of his secondary specialties is a medic. So he was kind of providing first aid to himself before the other teammates, like Stalker, could help him out. But he had a bandage on his face for a couple comics. But I don't think that's the way they went with that one. I think they went with a fully melted face on that one.
I think you're right.
GI Jetman. I don't know what you're talking about. So I don't I have
J-
no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. So
and I hope you haven't. I hope you haven't left because we hadn't, responded to that
no,
comment.
he's been
Honestly,
commenting. He's been
okay,
commenting.
good. And as I was scrolling, because I do like to highlight the comments for
Yeah.
sure. And
Yeah.
you can go ahead and go to the next one,
And
please,
then
sir.
Thunderbolts is definitely this week.
I will be seeing it. I will be seeing it on Friday afternoon.
And
So
the
I
first
will give my
reactions
thoughts.
are amazing.
And we're gonna go over those first reactions tonight, Matthew. So you guys hang on to your wigs because Thunderbolts has a message it wants to send to you, and I
Yep.
believe Disney mandated this message to the people who have seen the movie already. And I'm gonna highlight those
Spoiler
message here in a
alert!
little bit.
Spoiler alert! I know what the asterisk sign is about. Do you know what the asterisk sign is?
So I listened to a stream earlier. I know it was
Mhm.
put in the private chat,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get to hear whether it was revealed or not. So if you
Oh,
want to
oh,
put
yeah.
it in the private chat,
Okay. Yeah.
please do. and then maybe we'll reveal that asterisk. But yeah. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Thunderbolts. War Chest Full of Toys. The Sinners is really good, to be honest. I didn't think it was gonna be kick ass. I've heard great things about it. I do want to see it. I am gonna see Thunderbolts on Friday, and then after that, we'll see. But Sinners is a movie I would like to see for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, commercial said best Marvel movie since Endgame. Yeah, that's funny because I think every Marvel movie that's come out since 2019 has said the exact same thing.
Yep, exactly right.
Shang-Chi, the Black Widow, I mean, you name it. It's the same. It's always the same.
Yeah.
The hype. But you guys are going to get a real big kick out of what's being said about Thunderbolts. I really firmly believe that. Let's see. Check 3-star.
Check that private chat.
Get the fuck out of here. I'll get out of here. Are you serious? Because I was waiting. I was hoping to find out. And I didn't hear it while I was watching the stream. All right, so let's.
I heard it before that stream, and then there was enough context in there that that's what
great.
It is.
3-star Dress says, I wish I could have gone with y'all to see the ROTS, but I had plans already. Yeah, no, it's all good, man. I thought, maybe you want to go, but it is what it is. The Accountant 2 tax season would have actually probably been pretty cheeky and pretty fun. Like, that probably would have been pretty fun.
I think Gal Gadot ruined Gal Gadot's career. She's not the best actress. She looks pretty.
She's beautiful, but she's can't act gorgeous, with shit.
But yeah, I have not seen a performance of her where she can actually act. So much so that they had to change the accents of everyone in the sequel or in the first movie too, to be like her, so that they could, have this made up accent that sounds like something weird. I don't know.
It's just not good. She's not good. And Ronnie, I'm with you. There's just not much right now at the theaters that's worth seeing. Now, hopefully, Thunderbolts, Superman, we shall see.
Hey, guess what comes out right before Fantastic Four that nobody's talking about?
Hang on, let me think.
No one's talking about this.
Fire away.
Ironheart.
Oh shit. That's right.
No one's talking about it.
Representation and Iron Man's suits all in one show. Ironheart as a comic didn't do well. It's not something.
And the character is insufferable. The character was written as a narcissistic villain. And they're trying to make her out to be a good guy.
But I will say this, it's this has been filmed and sitting in the kitty for at least a couple of years, right?
Yeah, I think at this point it's been close
2021.
To 3. Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's been close to 3, maybe 4. I think 3 years that it's been finished.
So we're talking about something that was done a few years ago, and if you don't think there's not going to be some outdated stuff in it at this point, a few years later, then it cringeworthy. Shall I say?
They should have Batwoman that movie.
I would think so, but maybe it wasn't possible. I don't know how that all works.
I mean, legally or contractually, it may have already been set into motion so far that they have to put it in theaters. But I know that nobody at Disney is excited about the release of that one because no one is talking about it, and it comes out before Fantastic Four.
There's no promotion. Although I could say the same really for Superman. There's just no promotion for that movie.
Yes, there is. James Gunn is everywhere saying James Gunn's James Gunn movie about James Gunn is coming out.
James Gunn is being promoted. but not Superman. It's James Gunn's Superman that James Gunn is directing, who James Gunn wrote.
Yes.
James
Flying
Gunn's
monkeys
Superman.
and all.
Well, we're gonna get into that too. We need to do that. Mr. Magus is in the house as I've come to chew bubblegum and blend, and I'm all out of bubblegum, and I love it, baby. Let's blend it up. Let's get into it. Clint Yorgis is in the house too. Accountants are some of the funniest, most exciting people I know. I think that's a very sad existence, Clint, and I feel so bad for you. Unless they help you cheat on your taxes, in that case, I'm down with it. And then talking about the older movies, 3 Star says, hey, look, I like the limited runs, cash grab, but as long as it's movies that will bring in some action, I'm good with that. I think it's fun. Wart says, I don't think Thunderbolts will do that well either. It will not. Thunderbolts will be a disappointment. The projections are 65 to 85 million opening weekend. I think they're going to be well below that. The media is trying to tell you that this movie is important, that it's important for your health, so to speak, and we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. And so let me scroll down a little bit, make sure I don't miss anybody here. And yes, Ironheart isn't a movie. You are correct. It is a show. It is a Disney Plus show, and the ratings on it are going to be worse than Andor, which I actually enjoy. That's the shame of it. But I think we're kind of caught up a little bit here. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. What do you think, Matthew? You think, do you even want to talk about the Cold Slither molds? Does anybody want to talk about the Cold Slither molds? Do we even want to show them? Do we want to spend 5 minutes on them?
Did you hear the second track?
I did not, but that's
Oh,
because I'm a loser.
you're a loser, baby.
I am a loser, baby, and why don't you
Blah blah
self-delete
blah
me? I don't know.
blah.
Anyway, so here we go. Cold Slither. There they are in all their headless glory. I think you guys were probably paying attention earlier, and I'm sure y'all saw these. I'm just gonna click through them. Just kind of
Makes
to
me
show
want to pay
them.
$25 and get that steel 1/12 drum sets that's on Etsy that I can have custom made for different drum sets.
Hey, that dude, why not? I'm down with that. This looks a little wonky.
Yeah,
I mean I don't know if it's meant to be that way. If it is meant to be kind of beat up and whatever,
whatever.
that's fine. Like I can understand that. It's a little off.
It
I
looks like they're going backwards in plastic to me because it looks like cheap stuff, like it's gonna
it,
break or fall apart or something.
it is interesting. I this is but the thing of it is a project like this with the straps and the guitars and the drums. It is an unusual. It's unusual
Yep.
pieces.
Oh yeah.
And so in that respect, but this guitar looks like it's bent. Doesn't it look like it's
Oh
bent right there, like in the
yeah.
neck?
Well, and both of them
Both
do.
of them,
Yeah.
both of them look bent. Now that could be the picture, that could be the photo, that whatever. But they
Well,
both
they
do
had to
look a
get
little
it in their
bent.
hands, right?
So it very well may be pliable plastic that needs to bend. Obviously, we see these. There's the hair piece. Look,
I like it.
I
I like
want
the guitars and the fly wing. I think that's
right.
cool. The drum set and everything, but the drum set doesn't look great.
It
And
looks like shit, dude. As a drummer, I can
yeah,
tell
yeah,
you, it
yeah.
looks bad. Like this
Well,
is weird.
and
This
there's
is
no
so weird.
microphone. They said there was going to be a stool for the drummer to sit on, but there's no microphone, and I don't know. I understand they've got budgets and they've got pieces to make or whatever, but and this is a very unique set, so they can only do so much. I get it, but you got to hit some key milestones here. I don't know.
I agree with you. Mr. Magus says them drums are no big whoop to me. Yeah, I just
I mean, didn't you
look.
guys see Weird Al's in version of Marbles in My Nirvana? Right, he took the guitar and he goes.
Well, yes, but but here's the other thing too. Like, that's where that whole digital render thing.
Yeah,
That's where that whole kind of you get a little fooled sometimes.
yeah,
Sometimes they turn out fantastic.
right.
You get a little fooled sometimes, and this could be one of those situations where we saw those
Well,
digital renders and we're like, hell yeah, we're all in. And then you start seeing the molds and you start going, wait, that looks weird. That's
and
not
these aren't
right.
final. Obviously, these aren't
That's
final.
correct. Yes. So I'm not, and I'm not going to harp on it too much until I see it or have
Right.
it in hand. It is something I do want.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. So it is something that I do actually want. And so
And I got my
and
Cold Slither background display from Codename Iowa 2 years ago. That came
okay.
with came with the Dreadnought cabin. That on the inside has an insert, so it could be cabin, or you could flip it around, and it's the secret technological base that Zartan uses, and it's the cabin on the outside. It's pretty cool.
Sounds cool. I mean, shit, like hell yeah. That sounds great. I mean, they are going to give us that sweet little, sweet box that's
Yeah,
going to
that
come
box
up.
looks
But
awesome. The
uh,
packaging, you can't beat their packaging for their exclusives.
right.
They've been really good.
Yeah, Will Ferrell dropping his balls on my drum set, I'd be a little upset, but if it was Will Ferrell, I'd be okay. I'd say, hey, you know what? All right, Will, just take them hairy things and just drop them right on there, buddy.
Well,
But please autograph the drum head when you're done.
if it was your drum set, he'd probably drop a deuce on it. I'm just
War Chest, yeah, you probably would. It's War Chest, yeah, no mic. That is weird, but maybe it's not all of it, right?
here's what you
Maybe
do.
it's not all of it.
Here's what you do. You go get the Cold Slither Super 7 Reaction Plus figure because he has a microphone, and you take that and you put it in that Zartan's hand.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've asked people, occasionally I was dating someone, I was like, can you sing into my microphone?
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
about
or
3
your
a.m.
Blue Sky rocket,
Oh yeah, wait, Blue Sky.
whatever it
Anyway,
is, whatever it's called.
Mr. Mr. Magus says, nope, they're bent or limp, and that's a shame. As long as they're not limp biscuits. Did you hear? Hang on. Is this thing on?
No, no,
As
no.
long as they're not limp biscuits. Hang on.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
So, limp biscuit or not? Anyway, I digress. Oh my God.
Love you guys.
Joseph said,
Love you guys. You guys are great.
he said, my son plays drums and said the same thing about the drums. Like, yeah, you just look at them. It is. Now, 3 Star did comment and said, hey, look, these are,
What? They took that
prototypes.
away?
They're prototypes.
Wait a second. They took it away.
What happened?
I have to give special permissions for it now. Oh, that's
Special permissions for what?
for the special effects.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just got
hell
a pop
no.
up that popped up, and I was like, how do I turn it on?
Well, if you want to fool with that, that's fine.
No,
I'm gonna,
that's
I'm gonna,
right.
I was
That's
gonna
right.
say I was gonna change topics.
Yeah.
The tripod for the cymbal is massive, and trust me, I definitely
Woo.
know.
Well, that's why they call me tripod.
No, that's a true story, folks, and I'm not even in the state of deep in the heart of Texas. Anyway, so look, wore a mask called counterfeit. When did I do that? I don't know. And quickly as we move off this topic, Todd C said they did a metal band Transformer San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Knights of Unicron, and that came with a hand mic. So get in the microphone thing.
Yep.
I
mean,
do
you could have swapped out a hairpiece or
sure.
guitar strap or something and put it in a microphone.
I mean, it's just a fucking microphone.
Yeah.
It's a microphone with a stand. Don't even make it detachable. I don't give a shit.
You actually
What
probably
are we talking about?
you actually probably could have swapped out one of those drums that is not necessarily needed in that drum set to create a microphone on a stand, on a mic stand. Oh my gosh. Maybe not give them glasses that come off and have the glasses molded onto their faces. So that's another accessory piece that you could go towards the microphone and stand budget. Whatever.
I get it now, Dreadnought. I get it now. It took me a minute. Look, I'm like landing planes here, okay? Like I'm landing planes, baby. All right, so let's get into this real quick as we get off the current box office, and I call it "Let's get into it," because I don't want to land any more planes than I have to. Let's get into it. LA is set to become a little easier to film in after City Council passes motion to reduce red tape. This story came through at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. It says making a mid-budget movie or TV series just got a little bit easier in LA. They passed a motion in LA that reduces onerous regulations and permitting, as well as other unnecessary fees, inconsistent safety requirements.
Yeah, the grifting people, man, they've been doing it forever. And in the last 20 years, people have been saying, you know what? We can go to Toronto. We can go to Georgia. We can go to Texas and make
Tennessee.
This cheaper.
Yeah.
Exactly. And all these other places have booming film industries because of this nonsense that's been going on out there. Yeah, it's nice to be close to all that stuff, but when it costs so much, you just can't afford it.
And the prices are more expensive. Look,
yeah.
If you want to pass a law or whatever legislation that reduces the fees or whatever, but there's still the taxes, there's still the cost of living, there's still the cost of doing business out there. And so I love this quote, though. I love it because, I'll tell you the reason why I'm going to get into this quote. I'm going to dig into it because it says, this is about jobs that support LA families and all the small neighborhood businesses where they live and shop. The dry cleaners, the manicurists, the taquerias, the breakfast spots, the sandwich shops, and the caterers. Los Angeles is hurting because film production is leaving. COVID, an unprecedented firestorm, and an uncertain economic
which you guys were exempt from
have made a bad situation worse, but we can do better. Okay, that's my fucking problem. They're the ones that shut down storefronts. They're the ones that imposed draconian fucking laws on people for being out or being on a beach, running on the beach by themselves with nobody around, attacking and arresting people during COVID. They're the ones that shut down the taquerias and the breakfast spots and the manicurists and the fucking dry cleaners. They're the ones that shut down the sandwich shops. And guess what? They're the ones that shut down the fucking filming productions. And every time I see this shit, they're trying to play hero, Matthew, because now they're like, well, we dealt with a global pandemic and it was they had some of the worst curfews or not curfews, but some of the worst policies. San Francisco, 80% of their storefront businesses in downtown San Francisco are never coming back because they shut them all down. So I find it so funny that now, here we are, 2025, when all these production companies have left, they've gone to Georgia, like you said, Texas, Tennessee, wherever, and now they want to do something about it. You should have done something about it in 2020, 2021.
It's easier to film in Canada or the UK than it is in California. And you get bigger tax breaks in the UK. So you can... the only problem is that you have to release your actual budgets to get the tax breaks in the UK, which is the only reason that we find out some of these budgets for some of these projects.
Well, and for a lot of this stuff, they don't want you to know how much they spent, right? I mean, it always comes out, but when you're talking about the UK, you can see those records. They are known, but yeah, no, I'm not going to say it pisses me off. It's just that now they're worried about the below the line workers. They don't even mention that shit in here. They don't mention the key grips and the best boys. They don't mention the people who run sound or catering for these movie sets. They don't mention any of those people. They talk about the manicurists and the dry cleaners and the breakfast spots. You know, it's so I find it's short-sighted. It's self-indulgent. And this is what they do. But I saw that story come through a little while ago, and I thought it was interesting. I'll tell you another story I found interesting, and you guys may very well find this interesting as well, about Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard was on Empire. Terrence Howard was a pretty well-known actor for quite some time. He's done a lot of work. It says that he turned down the role of Marvin Gaye because he wouldn't kiss another man. And now he has been basically run out of Hollywood. He cannot get a job. And I saw this story the other day, but I wanted to look and see exactly, what was it about? It was like, is this real? Is this not real? Is this hyperbolic or whatever? And it's just that, his beliefs is that, he was going to make a show and play Marvin Gaye, and he did not want to do this part of the movie. Now, I would say if you're an actor and you're hired to do something and you read through the script and you accept the role, that's part of the role. That's what you do. You're taking on the job. But he actually turned down the opportunity to, and I love how this article frames it. He revealed to Bill Maher on Club Random, which I think is an interesting podcast stream if you guys get to watch it. I know Bill Maher can be a lot, but he revealed he turned down the opportunity to portray Marvin Gaye, and it says for a deeply stupid reason. Well, we all have our own morals, or we all have our own things we adhere to, things we will not change, things we stand up for. And Terrence Howard said, no, why is this in the movie to begin with?
Yep. That's my.
It was
why.
My bad. It was the Marvin Gaye biopic. He was going to play Smokey Robinson, which he looks like.
Okay.
And because I never thought. I'm sorry, I never read that Marvin Gaye was that way. I don't know if he was. Fine, I don't care. It doesn't make me like his music less. I love Marvin Gaye. I'm a huge Marvin Gaye fan. But yeah, he has basically been ostracized from Hollywood at this point. He said.
So wait, so they're just writing a narrative that didn't actually exist in history, as far as anybody knows. Because Marvin Gaye and Smokey Robinson, neither one of those men ever came out as being gay.
Never heard this. Don't know. As
far as I can tell, there's nothing on that on either character, either person being gay.
Well, so this is taken from Quincy Jones.
Okay. God.
And Quincy Jones is no longer around. He said Terrence, he visited the late Quincy Jones. He heard a rumor that changed his perspective when it came to taking on the role. I was over at Quincy's house, and I'm asking him, I'm hearing rumors that Marvin was gay. Was he gay? And Quincy's like, yes. Now, again, this isn't from Marvin. This isn't from anybody else. And so nobody knows. And it says here, it should be noted, not because it matters, but purely for purposes of legal accuracy, that Marvin never publicly came out. So again, this is just whatever. But this is a conversation he had with Quincy Jones, and he says, hey, I don't want to be in this film if this is part of it.
Right.
And that's his beliefs, and that's okay. He is entitled to his beliefs. And so but I saw this article today, and it really is starting to gain traction.
Yep.
So I would tell you guys, be on the lookout for a smear campaign against Terrence Howard, because he's trying to explain himself. And he says, I can't surrender myself to a place that I don't understand.
Yeah.
He also took the time to specify his belief. It does not make me homophobic to not want to kiss a man. So you're gonna see, man, I'm telling you, dude, you're gonna see a smear campaign against Terrence Howard.
Well, he's endured it before, right? When he left Iron Man, there's a whole bunch of stuff that went down with that too.
Yes,
and they tried to make him look as bad as possible for wanting more money.
More money for being one of the stars or
a titular character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
as one would say.
Yep. Mr. Madgus, I don't know anything about that, but I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah. The thing of it is, ultimately, it comes back to, if you have principles and you stand by them, if that's your principles, then those are your principles. And whether you're an actor or not, but that industry is rife with people.
I sent you a video earlier this week that went through Brandon Fraser, Val Kilmer, and several other people who got blacklisted in Hollywood in the 90s because they wouldn't go along with the Epstein flights, with the Epstein and Harvey Weinstein nonsense that was going on. And they got blacklisted for almost 20 years before they got to make films again, and had to make small independent things and become well known again. And people are like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that person, And then you have this nice send off in Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, with Val Kilmer,
Right.
because he was blacklisted from Hollywood. Nobody would touch anything he would do because he wouldn't keep the secrets. He wasn't going to keep the secrets. Corey Feldman has his bit too, but he's trying to capitalize and sell on that. So
very much, very much so.
But there's enough evidence out there to say how despicable all of these people are and the secrets they hide. So it's not a surprise when you hear stuff like this. So never believe anything that comes out of Hollywood because it's all manufactured propaganda.
And I mean, Matthew, come on, man, like we know
Charlie
this.
Sheen. Charlie Sheen has his own issues.
But we all know this. Like that it's a culture out there that is very insular, and there is a lot of really strange and odd and like things that go on with the actors and actresses, their children.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
I want to see that 20 minutes of Eyes Wide Shut that they cut out.
Yeah.
Before they got rid of Stanley Kubrick. Because he conspicuously died before its release so that they could cut out that 20 minutes of footage.
Don't you think for one second that Eyes Wide Shut basically is accurate portrayal of what goes on out there?
Exactly.
I can only imagine.
Exactly. And it's why I want to see the 20 minutes that they didn't even want anybody else to see that Stanley filmed to put in there.
Right. No, it's curious. And a lot of people don't know that, and I can fully understand why. And Frank Dumanew's in the house, so I just want to say hello to Frank, definitely. Is that I get why a lot of people, A, wouldn't pay attention, B, don't care.
Yeah.
But that's something that you and I do see a lot of. We read the quotes, we see the tweets, we see the interviews, we see the actors and their children and all the things that their children are involved in, and there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on out there that is not, I don't even know how to explain this. It's very concentrated.
Yep.
Okay? And yet the rest of the population, other cities, it's not like that. Right. And so it is. It's interesting to me. Mr. Magus says, why would a straight man want to have another man's lips on theirs? And if that's how you are, that's how you are, right? If that's what you want. If that it's
Hollywood, baby. Everybody's
it's Hollywood, baby.
It.
Why wouldn't you want to do whatever they say?
You just got to kiss this microphone over here from this Harvey Weinstein's chair that
take the
you'll
check.
Get the bar.
Take the check, right?
Yeah.
Take the check and you're good, right? Then you can get a Lamborghini. Take the check and you can be in this movie. Take the check and you can go to this other casting couch. Take the check. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting, and it is almost like an Illuminati movie in a way.
Three star. It's conspicuous, to say the least.
Man,
I mean, he died before the movie came out. And they cut 20 minutes and burned that 20 minutes of footage so that no one would ever see it.
I'll say this because there's a lot of other shit that's happened for far less.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Like, but
a lot of people disappear in Hollywood, and that's not that's a
G.I. Jetman brings up, didn't Eyes Wide Shut ruin the young actress's career, Sebeski? I'd have to look into it. I'd have to look into it.
I think I remember something about that, but
I don't want to speak on it because I can't comment on it now. But I would definitely want to look it up. And this is, look, there's a lot here, but this is a great comment in my opinion. That ignorance is bliss, and it's easier to turn face. It's easier to turn around and not pay attention. And I get it, because if you're not interested in any of it, like I get it, like I fully understand that. I'm not a fool. But when you do, and I've said this about a lot of the stuff that's infiltrated our movies and our video games. I talked about it on Sunday night. for those of you that watched or listened. Um, and once you start to see it, you can't unsee it. And
Yeah.
then you see it in other things, and then you start to pick it out and
Well, and
call it out. And
it is the title of the movie, Eyes Wide Shut. People purposely
yes.
turn it off. And Dreadnought, I didn't want to go there, but yes, that just happened too.
Right. And Mr. Magus, I'm with you on your last comment. Yep, I get it. Right. Like that's it. Look, and this has been talked about by Cat Williams. I'll say it here.
Yeah.
Cat Williams had an interview with Shannon Sharp. He said it on other places.
Yep.
I'm not the biggest Shannon Sharp fan, but what I will say is this: Cat Williams put it out there, and he said, if you go look through history.
Mm-hmm.
Every black comedian that has become hugely famous has had to put on a dress and dress up as a woman in some shape, form, or fashion. In a movie, in a skit, Saturday Night Live, in a TV show. And when you start going to look into that and you dig into that, you start to find out some interesting things that tend to be true. And it's hard to deny. So look, I'm gonna move through this next thing quickly because there's not a lot to say about it, but I did want to bring it up because I think it is monumental. When I was in high school, I was in drumline, and part of the rite of passage, Matthew, was going out on a drumline party if you're a freshman, and we did it to all incoming freshmen, and we watched Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail, and that movie is 50 years old. They're showing it in movie theaters. And I found this interesting that John Cleese, this comment.
John Cleese has been all over this stuff for a long time. Whether you agree with him or not on a bunch of stuff, he's been spot on about comedy and what has happened to comedy.
Yes, and this is one thing I want to find it real quick as I scroll down.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle's been all over it too.
Bear with me just a little bit. But I want to find this paragraph because I think it holds true so much today. And let's see here. In the U.S., comedies aren't hitting the theaters as much, or they're just not getting made, and that's a sad thing for me. Now, that's the interviewer telling that to John Cleese.
Yep.
And John Cleese kind of, says, quote, he says, I go to these Comic-Cons sometimes, and there's people coming up to me in large numbers saying, thank you for helping me through difficult periods of my life. Because when you laugh, you move your center of gravity to a place that can cope a bit better with the problems of life.
Yep.
That is something that nobody seems to realize at the moment. This is talking about the lack of comedies being made, people not being able to laugh right now. And so he was talking about British Marines, and the quote is like, look, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't have joined up. I was talking about being in the military.
Yep.
But I found this probably the most interesting. He said, we don't have that now because we have these people leaping out and saying that's not funny.
Yep.
And the problem a lot of time is that they suffer from literal mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
They're literal minded people. Particularly in the Midwest, which I found interesting.
Well, he's wrong about that part of it.
I was going to say, I read that and I thought that's interesting. He said, but you realize these people don't really get metaphor. They don't get simile. They really don't get comic exaggeration.
Yep.
In other words, the meaning that they get from statements is incredibly narrow.
Yep.
It's just the literal meaning as opposed to the figurative meanings of which there are so many. And I found that quote interesting because he's 100% spot on.
Yep.
People can't laugh these days. They can't laugh at themselves because they need to play the victim. They need to be their cause needs to be heard and seen. And it's difficult for them to have a sense of humor because it minimizes the victimhood or the cause they're fighting for. Does that make sense? And that's my opinion. That may not be yours. So you tell me.
Well, I mean, I won't go into it too much, but there's a lot of people that have their whole personality around being a victim. and to do that is a damage to your psyche. It's a damage to everybody around you. When you play the victim your entire life, nothing will ever be good enough, and you'll never be happy, and there's no chance of satisfaction in your life on any level if you're playing the victim all the time. It saddens me to see how many people go down this path and to try and create this narrative that everyone is beating down their doors and everyone is against them, and all the knives are out for them and who they are as a person. It's like, no, it's not. It's about this concept or this idea or whatever. That's not you. That's something that you may associate with, but that's not you, and that's not what's being judged. It's not you that's being judged, because if you identify as this other thing, that's not you. That's something that you're associated with. There's this whole disconnect, and it's egocentric and narcissistic and a whole bunch of other things that go along with it that just make for an unhealthy mental state, and it damages you and the people around you, and it's not healthy.
I think the ability to laugh at oneself, to have self-deprecating humor,
absolutely
is such an important trait to have.
Think about the defense mechanisms. Okay, in the 80s, this was called a defense mechanism, right? The class clown, right, was a thing in the up and through the maybe 90s, and then after that, it became, okay, that's not appropriate. You can't do that anymore. But the class clown was somebody who was acting out to make people laugh. Why? So they could take the attention away from their own insecurities, right? And so that they could make somebody laugh. And if everybody laughed, if they laughed at them, that's great. That's fine. They're laughing with them or at them. It didn't matter. There's an interaction there that created a stimulus, and you move forward with that. And that's what the class clown was, is somebody who was trying to deflect attention from their insecurities. And it works well, especially as you mature and you realize, okay, this is a part of me. This is part of who I am, but I can laugh at myself. If you cannot laugh at yourself, then you are lost.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's a huge thing. I think it's a natural reaction, reflex that we have. If there's something about ourselves that we don't like, we will point it out. We'll even preemptively point it out to people. I'm not the only one. I know there's plenty maybe in the chat that preemptively you preface yourself. You are almost pre-apologizing for your behavior in a way, if that makes sense. And but the art of comedy, the ability to laugh at ourselves, to laugh at other people, because that's okay.
Right.
It's so many times things are taken so literal. And I think that was the comment that we got about the literal mind from John Cleese, was like, literal minded is that people take it at just its face value, whether it's a sentence on a page or whether it's a joke being made, and they can't open up and enjoy the bigger picture of like, it's okay to have a sense of humor about yourself and about other people. Not everybody loves Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
But by God, a lot of people love Dave Chappelle. And you know what? Dave Chappelle ain't scared to call shit like he sees it.
And you know what? It took him a long time to get to the point where he could call some people out on this stuff. And so much so that there were so many rumors about him being gone that they were insane rumors.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember reading that after Chappelle's show and it, know, all that stuff. But I just, the bottom line is like, without that ability to be able to step outside the box, and have an outside view, and have self-deprecating humor, or the ability to see yourself not in the you're so hyper important, right?
Mr. Wonderful, do you mean Dave Chappelle was awesome?
I want to say hi to Mr. Wonderful, by the way, for sure.
He's still making product. He's still putting out comedy specials out there that are pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, his last couple stand-ups, they slayed me. His last couple stand-ups, I 100% absolutely just lost it. I want to say hey to Shark Eyes
What's
in
up,
the house
Adam?
for sure. And um, yeah, Mr. Wonderful, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that real quick and see, clarification. I don't know
Oh,
for sure.
yeah. And you know what, Mr. Wonder, his show was awesome, but his show will probably never be shown again because he doesn't have the rights to it.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
signed a wonderful deal with Netflix because he went to Netflix and he told him, you know, I don't make a dime off this show. That show ripped me off so
right,
much that I can't make a dime off of it. And I'm offended that you're showing it. And they said, we'll pull it right now. And he said, okay, I can in his words, I can fuck with that. I can fuck with that. And then he
right.
made a couple specials with them and they do really well, live specials that
Man,
he's done. And he's knocked it out of the park for him. And so he's creating new content. And so unfortunately, as awesome as that show was, if you didn't buy it on disc initially or whatever, it's probably never going to be reproduced because the rights of that are now in limbo because the license holders they have the rights to do it, but Chappelle is not associated with it, and Chappelle will shut it down.
um, yeah, no. I remember that controversy too with
Yeah,
them and him saying, "Hey, don't show this," and they took it off. And I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw that, I thought that was a little bit. I was like, okay, you're gonna pull that power play, like but
but
um,
it's him, man. That show
right.
was him.
And understanding like really the whole story
Yeah,
about that. Real quick, Ryan Trick said, I agree. Pop's definitely okay to have a sense of humor. I laugh at you all the time. I hope you do because that's all
that's.
I want. I actually prefer people to laugh at me and or with me, either or. I don't
I
care.
mean, I can
Uh,
wear a red nose and paint my face and everything if you like. I mean,
dude, I'm a ham, man. If you heard me at work, Matthew, if you heard me at work and the things I say and the things I talk about, the things I say about myself, like it's, I love that. Like I just
yeah,
personally, I like to entertain people, whether that is behind a bar, whether that's on a drum set, whether that's singing, or in this avenue here. Like I just like to entertain people. And I think it's extremely important to have a sense of humor about yourself. I just, I
absolutely.
don't know how people get along without it, but I'm also not in the mind of other
Well,
people.
and that's why I hang out and I talk with the people that I talk with, right? Because if you hang around Ed and Lawrence long enough, they're gonna tear you a new one on something that you've done stupid, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
something that you do all the time, right? And they do that to me all the time, and it's like it's freaking funny.
They
I,
do. Yeah. Yeah, they do.
and that's what we do. That's what Tony
Right.
and I do. That's what we do is we pick on each other because you know it's a character trait that you can go after, and it's funny because it's part of comedy. Comedy is always subjective,
It's
but if it's
fine. You're not, because you're not going to go crawl in a hole, Matthew.
right,
Like you're not going
yeah.
to go, oh, woe is me, and then go back
Speaking
and
of Tony,
cry or boo hoo. Like that's, and it's okay. I mean,
yeah,
to reckon, if it was hateful
right,
and spiteful, it'd be different, but it's not, and
yeah,
that because
yeah.
of your interactions with anybody else that's cutting up and acting silly.
But it's on how you take it because even if it is hateful and spiteful, and you turn around and you laugh at it,
That's true.
okay, you deflated it. Then
That's
it's
true.
it's gone.
And it doesn't
It
mean
doesn't
anything.
mean anything. It's like
Right.
that's hilarious. Awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you feel
No,
that way.
I'm with you. Mr. Magus, I have those seasons of Chappelle Show on DVD. I
Yeah,
absolutely 100% love it. The
yeah.
the Clayton Bigsby sketch is my favorite of all time. I think it's amazing that he led off season 1, episode 1 with that sketch near the end of the show. The Clayton Bigsby is typical Dave Chappelle.
Right.
110%. And I think it's unbelievable now. Let's see here. Tony's Figs is in the house. What's up, Tony?
We were
Glad you
just
dropping
talking
in.
about you,
On
and you
the
showed up. So
Yep, Tony on the west side. what is it, 7:20 over there, man? It's early
Yeah.
for you, buddy. You better be getting your dancing shoes on, Tony. Be getting ready to go out tonight, stepping out. But
Hey,
yeah,
Carlos, how you doing, Mr. Salinas there?
hell yeah, there we go. Fuck your couch. Gotta love it, baby. Gotta love it. I'm trying to keep up with the chat as fast as I can. I know that they're
Hey, and Carlos, if you're out there and
uh,
you find a Blanca or Surgat, let me know. Let me know where they're at.
oh, my bad. It is 8:20. You're only 2 hours. My bad. I don't know why I have 3 hours stuck in my head, actually.
That's
Uh,
Pacific time there.
and 3 Star Draw says, buy a new one, you rich motherfuckers. Yeah, no, look, the Rick James stuff, the Clayton Bigsby, the race draft, all that stuff. And the funny thing is that stuff, it confronts you with stuff that is actually funny.
Yeah.
And if you can't laugh at it and know what it is and what it's for, then I just don't that's someone I don't want to associate with, to be honest with you. Because
Yeah,
I
exactly.
truly feel like that is some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard. And I don't know how anybody would get upset about it. I really
Yeah.
don't. I
And
can't.
as we see here, Dreadnought K6 thinks very highly of himself. He is
Uh,
extremely well informed.
yes, that is true.
Thank you for noticing.
100%. So I did see here. Do you guys know? So anybody in the chat, like, are any of y'all like Harry Potter fans? Did you care about the movies? Did you care about the Hogwarts video game? Do y'all actually really care? Did you read the books? Are you fans of Harry Potter? Because I find this is so weird to me. Okay, to be quite honest with you. We all know who Jonathan Lithgow is. He's an actor that's played some great parts. Third Rock from the Sun, obviously. As Johnny Reno says, I played the PS4 game. That game was great, actually. I loved it. Shark Guy says Harry Potter is ass cheeks. Man, I haven't seen Harry's ass cheeks, but I'll take your word for it. Clint Jorgensen says I love
You
Potter.
haven't seen Harry ass cheeks before? Have you looked in the mirror? I'm just
Man, dude, Matthew, I shave and bleach, bro. What are you talking about? Yeah, Jetman says I'm over Harry Potter. I hope you're not technically over Harry Potter, but I'll take your word for it. If you are, that's great. I'm just messing with you.
yeah, no, this is all in good fun. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
You know that, of course. So I saw this story. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for me, Harry Potter wasn't a thing. I was out of the age range for that, but my brother-in-law was it, and so my wife got into it with her, and then she got me into it, and it's been a fun ride to go through that. So Harry Potter's fun and interesting, I guess. But
so I went to the movies. I saw the movies. I was a bandwagon fan. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bandwagon fan, and it was fun. It was an event. I was not a big Lord of the Rings fan until I went to see the movies.
I loved Lord of the Rings.
I didn't read the books as a kid. It wasn't in my hemisphere or my sphere or my anything. So it is what it is. But I love the films. I enjoyed the films. There's some that's better than others. We all would probably agree or disagree on that. But nonetheless, I thought this was quite interesting. And it's maybe not a image you do need, Mr. Magus. I'm sorry about that. The bleaching part of it, I assume. I think Jonathan Lithgow's a fantastic actor. He's been cast as the role of Dumbledore. And yet there's been a lot of backlash to him playing the role of Dumbledore, and people are saying he's not old enough.
What? He's not going to live to make the 10 years for the 7 seasons that they want to make.
I don't know. I don't. But also,
do you know how old John Lithgow is?
So that's my thing, right? Like, I don't understand it. Some of the comments, but also, evidently he doesn't understand a lot of the pushback from J.K. Rowling. He not that he's made any controversial comments. Look, most people that have age and wisdom, they see things for what they are and they
Yeah.
understand. And I think he is like, look, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And that's okay for
Yeah.
him. He doesn't have to. He's taking a role as an actor.
All right. To answer your question, if you don't know, he is at this year in October, he'll be 80 years old. I'm just saying. He's not going to live to make it through the end of the season, or maybe be able to make it through the end of the series, right? Because I'm sorry, as we age, we get a little more frail. We're not as
Right.
durable as we once were. So it's hard
Right.
to make a TV series. And I granted, he spoiler alert, passes away before the end of the series, but at the same time, he's got 10 years of series to maybe possibly be a part of. So
What I do find interesting is he played Ronald Dahl, and
yeah, that's
and
interesting.
he commented on this. He said he's confused about why there's been such criticism about his role in accepting this role on TV under J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
But he said he said but he got no criticism when he played author Ronald Dahl, whose family has publicly apologized for his anti-Semitism in the West End play Grant. So it's funny how people pick and choose, right? They pick and choose their battles.
Yeah, well, you think about Hollywood's position on all this stuff, right? I mean,
Yes.
that answers your question for you, I think.
Yes. But also from the fans, and of course this article, I'm not going to get into it, but they tag on all the usual suspects in the comments, right? Or their article, they fluff it up to tell you why is this controversial. But the fans actually, they literally are like, he doesn't fit the role. And I'm like, what do you mean he doesn't fit the role?
Okay.
I don't know how he couldn't fit the role. Like, it makes no sense to me.
There's one stipulation, right? If you go back to the original casting of the Harry Potter movies, they had a stipulation that they did not want to cast anything but British actors for these roles.
Okay.
Right? So they wanted to cast authentically British people to play the parts for Hogwarts. Right? And John Lithgow is from New York, right? He's an American.
Right.
So putting an American in a British role may be what they're talking about. And that's the only thing that I could think of that they would be talking about.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. I don't understand. He's a fine actor. He's had a great, amazing career in Hollywood. But most of the backlash comes from him accepting the role because of how some people feel about J.K. Rowling. And I think that's ultimately the bigger part of it. And it's a shame because at this point, Max is trying to make a series. They've had some controversial casting calls. They have, cast Severus Snape with a black man. Some people,
which is going to cause all kinds of problems for them if they get into some of the storylines.
Well,
any of the storylines,
and they probably will not.
Well, they have to. They can't avoid some of. They can't avoid some of them.
I agree with you, but I think they're going to try to figure out how to. But that is one of the issues. That's one of the issues. He has to get hung from a tree, doesn't he? Yeah, it's and that that part of it with it being in the books and described. It's a big event. Is that going to get discussed? Is that going to get shown? He has to be a mudblood.
He has to be a mudblood, right?
I know. So I think that to me is maybe a little bit bigger of a controversy. Now, we saw with Game of Thrones where they did a great job with casting, right?
House of Dragons. Right?
Or House of the Dragon, my bad. Yep. You're right. Yeah, House of the Dragon. And they did a great job with the casting there.
Yeah.
It's totally believable. It
caused controversy because everybody had seen and known what they were supposed to look like, and then you get this actor and everybody's like, oh, what the heck, this doesn't look like him, but the actor killed the part.
He absolutely destroyed it. Yes.
Yeah.
I
But
agree.
it does cause problems structurally, especially coming up in this next season, but we'll see what they do with it. But I don't know that House of the Dragon's going to do so well.
I think the bottom line is when you win people over,
yes,
and you do a great job, I
That's
think then at that point it's
Doesn't
like,
matter.
when you're watching a show, it doesn't matter because you believe it, you're okay with it. So we'll see.
Yep.
Maybe they knock this out of the park. Maybe it's done so well that is not an issue. I would, there's always going to be people who protest and decide they're not going to watch this show, they're not going to participate, and that's fine. It is what it is. But this is supposed to be, this Harry Potter Max series is supposed to be the like definitive, true to the books.
Well, it can't be now.
No, it can't be now. But I thought that was interesting with Jonathan Lithgow, because this is somebody who has earned his right to take roles in peace and live out his days doing what he loves to do, and doesn't give a shit about
he's gonna be
gender
80,
controversies
whatever,
and all that stuff. He doesn't care.
He's going to be 80 years old this year. He doesn't have to give a fuck about anything.
I heard that, man. I can't wait when I'm that age and I just say whatever the fuck's on my mind, and you just have to accept it just because. I can't wait. Seriously, y'all.
You know that
I
never
can't
happens,
wait.
right? You know that never happens, right?
It does happen. People forgive old people for talking shit because they're like, well, he's just old. You're like, yeah, bitch.
Well, it is as long as they're taking their meds and they're happy and peaceful.
That's right. Hey, Daddy's Home 3, baby. Daddy's Home 3. Turk Murphy's Toy Solutions in the house. What's going on, Turk? How you doing, man? Good to see you.
What's up, guys?
Good to see you. Always good to see everybody in here. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's like combing through controversies, combing through and trying to find interesting stories. And sometimes you comb through stuff and this happens.
We ain't found shit.
Luckily,
I was waiting for you to play it. I was waiting for you to play that one. And you said comb too many times. I knew where that one was going.
Sometimes you just can't find shit. But what I did find, Matthew,
you know who that was, right?
I had his name on the tip of my tongue because when I was looking it up, I actually
Tuvok, man.
Yes, I went down a rabbit hole.
Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager, the Black Vulcan.
I ain't found shit. I love that. Oh my God. As a kid, that shit cracked me up. Cut it out.
Oh,
all right,
man.
So, wait a minute. Hang on. What the hell's going on here? There we go. Share screen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there's a Superman plot leak that may or may not be true. But I want to go through it before we
Hold
get
on to your hats, folks.
Before we get to Thunderbolts to wrap this shit up, because I've got some good shit for you guys for Thunderbolts, what the mainstream media is putting out there. But I wanted to go through this with you. This is the Superman plot leak. James Gunn makes online trolls Superman's new kryptonite. This is from Cosmic Book News. All right.
Not an entirely reputable source, but
a bizarre and rumored plot for James Gunn's Superman has surfaced online, which claims the Man of Steel gets dragged in the world of cancel culture. Cancel culture, Matthew.
Keyboard warriors.
The last thing I need is cancel culture. But you know what? She-Hulk had it, so it wouldn't be the first time.
Nope.
In the leak, it's claimed that James Gunn sets up Superman to be battered by social media hate, which apparently makes the Man of Steel feel real sad.
So is this? I mean, this is a total self-insert thing that he's doing here, right? So,
If it's true, yes.
if this is true, yes, this is total self-insert thing because of how he got kicked off of Marvel and they trashed him and all this other stuff. Is like, well, no, actually, it's because of what you actually said, dude. I'm just saying.
No, 100%. And James Gunn has had, his issues of his own, let's just say, when he got fired after Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and then somehow got brought back for number 3.
Well, so you know why? Because he had already written Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
And they didn't have anybody to do it. They needed it. And it turned out to be a money maker for them. But
well, they had to do something, and so they said, "Oh, maybe we can re-option this script that James has already written from 10 years ago or whatever, however long it was. It was a long time."
Right. So it says it's further claimed that James Gunn uses a hashtag super shit hashtag in the movie, which trends and damages Superman's image. But the real twist, Lex Luthor is behind it all, using an army of mutant monkeys at keyboards to flood and troll the internet and tear Superman down.
So all you keyboard warrior monkeys out there. Wow. I mean, that statement alone.
So here's the deal, Mendoza,
man.
right? Like, look, again, I can't confirm, I can't deny that this story has kind of
rumor.
Taken off. This is rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, throw it over your left shoulder. But it has taken wind on the internet, which I would expect something like this would do.
Knowing James Gunn, he would do something like this, and it would be a throwaway piece that will be in there
now
to create some aspect of the character development that he's saying that Superman's having. Is it a rumor? Yes. Do we know? No, we don't.
We don't.
Could it be there? Could it be a little snippet that gets dropped in there? Probably. That's the most likely situation.
And it says here, as of Monday morning, James Gunn hasn't shot down the rumor on Threads, because we all use Threads, don't we? Right? You got to use Threads. He's been much less active on social media regarding responding to fans, but he did shoot down the recent speculation that Garrett Dillahunt is really playing the DCU's Green Arrow. So people were speculating Green Arrow's in the film. He says, no, it's not happening. And so this is an interesting rumor. Now, he has had his ups and downs on social media, Matthew. He's said some controversial things like, for
don't say it. Don't say it. Yes. No. Yeah. The special parties that he likes to attend.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
So this could be a troll monkey, as it says here, metaphor.
Yeah.
But again, I love these articles and I love how they frame things, because underlined in this article it says, so Gunn, including an army of troll monkeys, is an obvious metaphor for what happened back in 2018 when Disney fired him over the conservatives discovering his tweets from 10 or so years ago.
Nah, that was like everybody.
Could it just have been anybody? It didn't have to just be conservatives. Could it just have been anybody? You know what I mean? Like, but I love these articles because they just love to frame things and put their own opinion in instead of just reporting facts and or reporting this rumor without adding any extra information and stuff in there for people. I'm curious if this is in there, Matthew. Like if that's in this movie, it will wreck this movie.
It depends on how much it is. If it's a passing line in the movie, I don't think it's going to do too much harm, but people will be talking about it either way.
Don't you? If this is in the movie, it's like a scene with a bunch of monkeys at keyboards, sending out social media. Don't you think that would?
If they actually show that, if they reference it, it's one thing. If they show it, it's another thing.
Man, and I understand that, and you are right to an extent, but like,
I need to adjust a couple things. I'll be right back. I'm listening still.
yeah, you're good. If that scene is in the movie, I just have an extremely hard time thinking that people are going to see that and not think cringe, right? Like cringe worthy. That would be hard to take, especially out of a Superman movie. I don't think we need that out of a Superman movie. It's just not, it's not needed. And but it'll be, I will be curious. I'll be curious to find out if it is. I am going to go see it. You know, I can't say that I'm excited for it at this point. I don't know that I'm excited for a Superman movie, no matter who's making it, who's starring in it. Even if it was Henry Cavill, Matthew, I can't say that I'd be just chomping at the bit or champing at the bit to go see it.
Yeah, G.I. Jetman, yes, it is the same actor. It's Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is actually a really good actor.
Yeah,
and yes, he
absolutely.
did play Beast in the First Class movies, and he is playing Lex Luthor here. I think he's a talented actor. So, you know, there's a good chance that he can pull off Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's a fantastic actor. And so hopefully if there is a bright spot, you know, within the movie, that he's the bright spot of it. We'll see.
Yep.
You know, Lex is not an easy character to get down, but I'd definitely love to see. And, you know, as a clever middle finger to the trolls, I guess the problem is with this movie, I don't know that there's a lot of trolls. That's the problem.
Star, is it that clever? Is it that clever to self-insert yourself into everything that you do? You know, you look at the Barnyard Commandos or whatever the thing that he did recently, where he inserted himself in that animated project. He's putting his name and his persona in everything that he does. And the only thing he can do is make an ensemble comedy piece that doesn't take anything seriously.
Well,
not one thing can be taken seriously, because as soon as something serious happens, he's got to turn around and make a joke about it.
Well, we have been told
every movie that he's ever made.
We have been told
Guardians of
that
the Galaxy 3, and most likely this Superman movie as well.
We have been told that it's James Gunn's Superman, by James Gunn, produced by James Gunn, directed by James Gunn, and written by James Gunn. The marketing definitely wants to let you know who is making this film. That's for sure. You know,
there's a reason why we're trolling it. I mean, there's enough evidence out there to support this, right? I mean, it's not just trolling it. It's presenting all the evidence to you, and you can make your own decision. And, you know, we're still probably going to see it. I don't think it's going to do very well because of all this nonsense.
I hope it's good. I really
Ronnie,
actually do.
And you would do that with Sydney Sweeney as well, I'm sure. At every opportunity.
I love it. Yeah, no, I hope it's good. I would love for it to be.
I want it to be good. I
movie.
need a good Superman movie, because that was the first superhero movie that was put into Hollywood, and it is still the greatest superhero movie that's ever been made. And you can't top it because it was genuine. And that's the problem with Hollywood. They're no longer genuine.
What the thing of it is, though, is that by putting a scene like that into it, regardless of whether everybody's trolling it, then by addressing it, you're recognizing the fact that you're not making a great product. Then does that make sense? Like you're basically just saying, yeah, you guys are right.
Yep.
And you're just giving into that, rather than standing on what you believe in and standing on what you think is very good and proving everybody wrong. Instead, you're just like, you know what? Well, then I'll take my ball and go home.
Well, yeah, and that's what happened with She-Hulk, right? They thought they were going to own the chuds, but what they were doing is they were exposing themselves. You know, they let everybody know exactly who they were. and that they are these trolls. And the same thing's going to happen with this movie. It's like you're exposing yourself. You're telling them what your weaknesses are, so people can come after you even harder about
Well,
them.
that's what's going to happen. If that scene is in it, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, and G.I. Jetman saying, James Gunn is supposed to be the DC's Kevin Feige, and that's true. He is. He literally is. He is over the whole thing, and it hasn't gotten off to a great start yet, regardless of what people think about Creature Commandos.
The big difference is that Kevin Feige had a whole bunch of successful movies before he ever got there. And he was only trying to help the thing along so he could get enough credibility so he could make some Star Wars movies, because he wanted to make Star Wars movies. And he just got to the point and he's like, okay, let's do whatever the board says or whatever these people say or whatever. And he got lost because he wasn't a true Marvel fan. He was a Star Wars fan, maybe. I guess that's what he says. But clearly he wasn't a Marvel fan, because he twisted the MCU into whatever abomination it came to after Endgame.
Well, he made it a point though. He said we're going to have, we're going to, do more female, heroes than male. We're going to, and that obviously didn't work out the way they wanted it to. But that was a directive. That was
do that, but you have to make quality movies with quality characters.
Right.
And he didn't pick any quality characters. One, because he didn't have the roster up until recently where he could. And then two, he picked trash writers to make the movies.
Right. A couple things here, Mr. Magus. You mean Miss Marvel wasn't the best movie, Nestor? Yeah, not so much. And the thing was, Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel made so much money, but it was sandwiched between.
It was because everybody expected
Infinity War and
something related to Endgame.
It was like, I have to see this because, if I don't see this, I'm going to be missing a large puzzle piece, right? And that movie did very well, but it was not a good movie. And actually, in all honesty, and I think we could agree on this too, it kind of fucked up Brie Larson's career, because
it messed her up.
The character she portrayed was hated so much. Dreadnought K6 says, I wouldn't give a borderline performance and type of credit. That's just me. I personally haven't watched anything he's been associated with since I found out, and I really like Guardians of the Galaxy. Talking about James Gunn. 3-star says, agree to disagree. He's just firing back at the trolls, and maybe he teabags him with the rest of the movie. I just don't think you need to do it in the movie.
No, he didn't.
If you're confident in what you're doing, you need to let your work stand for your work, and you absolutely teabag everybody by your art.
Yep.
But you don't need to make it. You don't need to
stands on its own.
100%. You don't need to put a scene in there going, ha ha, suckers. And G.I. Jetman says She-Hulk wasn't that bad, and we have to agree to disagree, because I thought that series was absolute trash.
The damage they did to Matt Murdock alone, much less the lack of
She-Hulk.
comedy.
She-Hulk is a drunken whore.
Yeah.
She's a drunken whore in the series with no remorse about what she does, and then they tried to justify and validate her feelings. And she's a dude. No, I'm sorry, I can't. And I'm going to stop right now,
Ronnie. I'm going to take issue with your comment there. You realize she's like 14, right? I'm just saying.
I think we're confusing Captain Marvel with Miss Marvel.
I sure hope so.
I think so. I definitely think this ain't no Diddy party. I think so. And R. Kelly ain't in the house, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Menjoza, I'm with you, Blade, in my opinion. Menjoza says best superhero movie only because the movie was better and revamped Blade better than he had appeared in the comics at that point. Now, I was not a familiar at that time, honestly, with Blade in the comics. So I know there's probably people who would say, no, that's not. But I did enjoy the Blade movies. I know the one with Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds is not favored upon very much. But I did like the first couple Blade movies, and I love that character.
Yeah. Dreadnought K6, have you seen her feet? I'm just asking, have you seen Bree's feet?
Oh, no. Don't make me look them up, Matthew. I don't want to show everybody here. Don't make me do it. Don't make me. I know you give me that look. Don't make me look up Brie Larson's feet. I'll show them to everybody here. I'll do it.
No,
Yeah,
no,
3 star. They
nobody wants
tricked.
to see that.
They did
Nobody wants to
trick
see
everybody into seeing Captain Marvel. I mean, it really did, for sure. And GI Jet, man, and I'm just messing with you. If you enjoyed She-Hulk, that's cool. Like, I enjoy Andor. There's a lot of people that don't like Andor. They can't stand it. And so I fully understand that. Like, yeah, I mean, look, we're just messing around, but I ain't gonna lie. I will give you my opinion. I'm going to tell you if I don't like something, or but I'm going to try to give you reasons why.
Yeah.
At least try to back it up. I know that's what
Right.
Matthew tries to do. And so it's not just, oh, I thought that was stupid because
Mr. Madguess, you do
saw
not
it
bring
in an
that up in
article.
this chat. Nobody needs to look that up. Do not look that up.
God dang it. Mr. Magus, you are not there. Something wrong with you there.
Do not look it up.
Okay, folks, you asked for it.
No.
You asked for it.
Nobody asked for it.
You asked for it. Brie Larson's foot. I just want you guys to look at them tootsies. Look at them toes. Get a good look at these gams, y'all.
That's a flattering picture of her feet, by the way.
The truth be told, yes, it is. That actually is. I can't even. Hang on, I'll give you guys another look if you really want to see something magical.
That's Wild Bill's hand.
How about this one? How about this one, y'all?
No, that one.
Look at how long these things, dude.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Now, that could be perspective, right? Right?
It could be, but it's not. These things are ridiculous.
Hey, you know what? She's probably got really good balance with those flippers, man. She can swim faster than just about anybody. I mean, they might be webbed. I don't know, Mr. Madguess. I don't know.
Let's see here. I'll give you guys a couple more. All right. You want a couple more? Let me see if
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the best ones. I don't even know. It's just.
Well, you got to see the OnlyFans page. The foot fetish.
No.
Quentin Tarantino would probably love to put her in a movie.
Oh God, it's just beautiful. Just one more time. Just one. That one's trying to get out of there. That pinky, not the pinky, the toe next to it is literally trying to leave the foot. It's trying to get out of those shoes.
Look, okay, so I understand that the second toe being longer than the big toe and the middle toe is a mutation, and I've got that one. I'm okay. It's a thing. Whatever. All her toes are the same length. I mean that's some Japanese stuff there where they box the toes. I don't know.
Uncle Smigton is snatching dinner out of the lake. So I don't know if y'all have ever had the pleasure of seeing that. You know what I mean? But if you haven't, there you go. That's something we've been watching for a while.
Until somebody super chats $100.
Right. Well, that's gonna take a while. I need to do a little bit of work. And G.I. Jet, man, yeah, look, don't sweat it. For real, don't sweat it. If you are an MCU fan,
no, that's fine, man.
You like what you like, but don't let us, man. That's where you say, hey, man, I dig my shit, and that's the way it is, man. But don't let us tell you, man. And please don't take it to heart either, for sure.
We have our criticisms. We like what we like. We like talking about it, and if you like something different, that's great. We can have a conversation about it, about why you like it, maybe why we don't. But it's all good, man.
Dreadnought, I don't know how tall she is. I really don't.
I
I mean, I'd say she probably is 5'8", 5'9", but I'd have to look it up, man. But that shit is funny, man. I can't.
5'7".
Are you
I was right. 5'7".
5'7"? So that for a woman, that's pretty tall. It's better than
Yeah.
average, that's for sure. Average is like 5'4" or something like that. Them shoes are too small for her. That's what's crazy about it, and because she knows she's got toes like that. So like, what happened? Like what happened? Why wear that? I don't know. I did want to quickly I did quickly want to bring up, I'm sorry. Like, have you been watching The Last of Us season two? Has anybody been watching The Last of Us season two? It's a question I want to ask because I'm finding it extremely difficult to believe in Bella Ramsey as the character of Ellie. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm also finding it extremely difficult to find that in this series, this character on the right, Dina, or is this Abby? I think this is Abby.
Yeah.
But Dina, but like this is, I don't even know what to say. Like I really don't know what to say. I can't. So if you've played the video games, folks, Joel gets killed. He gets his head bashed in with a fucking golf club in the game. It
Look,
happens
if
early
you
in the
play the
game.
first game, you're good. If you watch the first season, you're
Yeah,
good. You
yeah.
don't need to go past that because the second season and the second game are garbage.
They really are. And as much as the director of the game and co-producer on the show is trying to tell a tale of revenge, a cycle of revenge.
Yeah.
Okay. And
They're
Mr. Magus, you know what? It's okay. Like season one, and I think you're fine. But I got to tell you, and Dreadnought, Abby, who is a character that's introduced in the second game and is also introduced in season two. In the game, she is built like Ashton Genty. Let me give you another example. She's built like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the
yeah.
video game.
Yep.
And she takes a 9 iron or a 7 iron, take your pick, and in the early on in the second game, she absolutely crushes his skull and kills him. And the rest of the game, you get to play as the character who actually killed Joel.
Yeah, Dreadnought. I wouldn't say Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had too much fat on him.
Right?
This person didn't have any fat on him.
So the thing is that they try to make you sympathetic for this character that literally just killed the character that is the main character of the video game and the show.
And now you have to play as this person for the rest of the game, or most of the game.
And so, but the biggest problem with this show is trying to convince everyone that Bella Ramsey is, because in episode 3 she goes out on her own, okay, and she is now this rough and gruff and tough girl who is going out for revenge. And every time I look at this picture, like I can't. God dang, that's
Well,
really
that's a bad
bright.
picture.
That's awful. It's not as bright on my screen as it is
no, it's
here.
pretty washed out here.
It is washed out, but it's not as washed out on my screen.
Yeah.
I'll figure out how I could maybe darken it a little bit, but I don't know how I can do that. Yeah.
Let's just say, I mean, she kind of looks like she has an extra chromosome.
I mean, yes. And just from this shot here, like she's 5'3". They're gonna try to convince you that this girl is able to go on a revenge tale. And luckily though, and I think this was a choice on purpose, the character of Abby has been made to be also of similar size. She's really small in the show. She's very skinny. She's very small. In the
So
video
this
game,
defeats
she
the
was
purpose in the
literally
game.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So this defeats the purpose of what it is in the game, because in the game, Abby is supposed to be this giant, intimidating force that she has to come up against, and she has to fight her way back up to defeat this giant monster of a creature to revenge her father's death.
Yes. It's just hard to believe it watching the show.
It's dueling banjos, my friend. It's dueling banjos.
Right. I mean, and I think a lot of people, so after the second episode, so early in season 2, they literally take out the main character of the game
It's the
and
same
the
way
show.
in the game. It's early in the game.
Right. And so the problem is now, is your audience going to follow? Now, this review, and I'm not going to go through it, I don't want to read it. This review definitely tries to set up like you need to be invested. You know, Ellie's on a revenge tale and she ain't taking no prisoners and she's rough and gruff and tumble and all that. But unfortunately, they cast an actress. They cast an actress who can't do that.
Let's talk about the video game for a second. Because as soon as that happened, people were so pissed they were asking for their money back for the video game. People didn't stop playing the game. People disappeared from the servers. Okay, this game went into complete obscurity after that part of the game was hit. And people just didn't want to play the rest of it. And now these media articles are coming out saying why you should like this and follow this and keep going with it because it gets better or whatever. No, it doesn't. It doesn't get better.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And I watched episode 3 earlier, and it's going to be hard to retain the audience, just as the video game had trouble, because people that didn't know the leaks, they didn't know what happened, went into the game, they played it, and in the first few hours, the character they came to love is no longer playable, and then now they're forced to play as one female who's on a revenge tale, the other female who finished her revenge tale, but now, you know, you get to play her, and it's like, that's, you know, some people, Matthew, would appreciate that juxtaposition. Most people didn't. And actually,
if it's set up well, you can do that. If you've already started to create this bond with this other character before this happens,
right?
That can happen, right? You can say, okay, I'm invested, let's go. But they did it before the investment was truly there.
Well, even season 1, like it you know, yes, it introduced you to Joel and Ellie, and they're traversing across and making their way, you know, across the country. But really, viewers need more time with these characters because they're not playing a video game.
Right.
So you're not controlling the character. You're not taking on the persona as you're playing. You're not interactive with it. And viewers need a little bit more time to say it. Or see it rather, but I did want to highlight a couple of comments here. G.I. Jetman says, not to be rude, does she have Down syndrome?
Like I said, she kind of looks like an extra chromosomes there.
Yeah, she does not, but you know, listen, I mean, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, so sue me. Bella Ramsey is not a very attractive person. I'm sorry.
Look, I didn't fully believe her in her Game of Thrones character. Okay. You know, she kind of took me out of the Game of Thrones world.
No, a freaking 10-year-old leading a fucking house? Like, come on, man.
I understand that that's the way things kind of happened.
I get
back
it.
Then,
I get it.
But at the same time, I thought she did a pretty good performance in those initial seasons with her in it in Game of Thrones.
It's fine.
But
Lady Mormont.
Yeah, but this stuff, the later parts of the Game of Thrones series turned me on her because it became something that was unrealistic.
I mean, just the bottom line is like
she wanted to put on armor and fight. No,
look, and 3-star. Look, real quick before I go back and highlight a couple things in Game of Thrones. Like, yeah, as far as a badass, early, but later it was goofy. It got real goofy.
It got real bad because in the early interpretations of her in Game of Thrones, she was awesome, and I loved how she manipulated people with her language.
Yes.
And the script writing on that was awesome. But then later on, when they put her in suits of armor and had her riding horses and fighting people, I was like, okay, this is bullshit.
But we could also blame that on the showrunners, right?
Yeah.
So she's the actress, she's taking the job, so I can't always blame the actress necessarily, when it comes to roles and what they're given to work with and what they're supposed to do. So I can't always do that. But in this particular case, I blame the showrunners as well, but it just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work, and it's not believable. 95-pound, the last episode, okay. How in the world do you believe that a 95-pound, 5 foot nothing girl is taking down a guy that is like 6'4", 240 pounds, muscular, and somehow gets the leg choke on his neck and knocks him out? I mean, come on, man. And I know we get it in all kinds of media. I'm just tired of it. And some people, you can believe it. Scarlett Johansson, hey, girl, you can neck choke me anytime. But like Bella Ramsey, nah, not so much. Mr.
ScarJo in Iron Man 2, that shit was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was. But it's also how it's filmed too, right? In season 1, she took nothing serious. Now she's a badass. Yeah, Mr. Magus. It's really weird. But even in season 1, she's bossing around adults that like she shouldn't have any business being able to boss around and carry on conversations in a mano-a-mano fashion. Like, it just they made her more badass than the Ellie in the games and less sympathetic, that's for sure. Bobby Wold, yeah, Yellow Flash had a hilarious looking thumbnail. One girl, I agree. I saw that. Love some Yellow Flash, 100%. He's got a new comic, brand new comic, his first comic coming out actually on Rip Ascend, and you can go to the Rippaverse and find that comic if you want to. But
Rip is doing some awesome stuff.
Yep. But I would, G.I. Jet, man, look, you're not missing nothing, I promise you. And if you read any of the trades, if you read any of the mags, any of the stuff that's out, they'll try to tell you just how good it is and how, it's amazing performance. But it really, like, it really isn't. I mean, it is just not good. And 3-star draw, she may very well have underbid.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
It's true. How many times, Matthew, do you think you can see that for the rest of your life? Is it on a timer? Is it on a countdown? Do you think 10 more times for the rest of your life, and then you're just like, I'm done? Do you think
For me, it's fucking hilarious.
Right?
Because it shows the complete ineptitude and unawareness of people. They need to have an actress. Hold on, Bobby Wold there.
Yeah, right there. Sorry, I got you.
Yep.
Got you.
They need to have an actress who trained like Sarah Connor did in T2 doing pull-ups on that bed. Yeah, okay, so the Sarah Connor Chronicles was great. Terminator 1 was great. Terminator 2 was great. Sarah Connor Chronicles was great. And that was Lena Headey from Game of Thrones, by the way.
Yeah.
They can have some believable aspects of it. And Linda Hamilton, she did her work in that for T2, right? And she was a completely different character in T1, and that showed character development. That's what people need to see. They need to see that transition from the wage slave waitress getting ice cream dumped in her pocket,
right,
to the badass military leader, right? And we saw that in those 2 movies. And yeah, it drove her insane so much that she had to be institutionalized because society couldn't handle what she was doing, and then be broken out. And you have this whole story thing, and this happens, right? She has her mental emotional conflict with killing Miles Dyson, right? You have all of these wonderful things that happen to her character arc through these 2 movies. And then they completely destroy it after that, except for the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which is pretty good. But yeah, if you don't have that development in a character, I'm not saying male or female, I'm saying in a character, it means exactly shit to what's going on.
Yeah, and they did her dirty in that Terminator what was the one where they turn Arnold into a housewife?
Dark
Uh,
Fate.
yeah,
A
Dark Fate.
draper. He was a draper.
Yeah, he was a draper
A
somehow
literal
as an
draper.
android, and then they kind of ruined Sarah Connor in that movie, in my opinion, and that's a shame, But that is a great
I never
character.
saw that movie, so my vision of Sarah Connor has not been tarnished. Thank you.
G.I. Jetman says I'll stick with Rings of Power.
Oh,
And all right.
oh, you
I'm,
hurt my
I,
soul there, brother. I love
I'm,
Lord of the Rings, and that has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. You just killed me, man.
I'm gonna refrain. I'm gonna refrain.
Oh,
But hey, rock and roll,
oh,
baby. That's it. However,
oh, that hurts.
so we're gonna get into the Thunderbolts. All right. And folks, the Thunderbolts is coming out here a couple days. There are a lot
Thunderbolts asterisk sign.
Yes, and there are a lot of reviews that are out. There are a lot of how do I explain it? I guess what I'll say is
I've got a bad feeling about this.
so I want to like this movie. And I want to go see it, and I'm going to go see it. However, the mainstream media has already been clued in. They've seen it, and there's a lot of posts about it. A lot of reviews, not deep, there's a review embargo. There's a review embargo.
First reaction posts.
First reactions
hasn't come out yet.
So folks, we're going to go through the first reactions, and I want to see if you notice a theme.
I.e. the exact words used over and over again.
So we're on Twitter. Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Let me zoom on in here. Get this big on the screen for y'all if you can see it. And I'll read it out. So here we are. Hashtag Thunderbolts is entertaining in blips, but overall mediocre. At best, its superficial depiction of depression is incredibly frustrating. Now, this is an honest review. It says it barely scales a series of low bars, still underdeveloped and formulaic, matinee with lowered expectations. Now, I appreciate a review like that. I do. All right. However, oh my God, this is where we get into it. We start to see the same
GIF
over and over.
Everyone's got the same.
Thunderbolts has taken me by complete surprise, showcasing flawed heroes working through their darkest moments. It's refreshing to see this franchise treat mental illness properly, not for jokes. All right.
So hold on a second.
Hey, hang on.
I just want to pause here for a minute. Okay. Were these people saying the same thing about the original Joker film? Because no, they were talking about the psychopaths going in and shooting places up, which was actually an Elsa film, not a Joker.
Right.
Film, but whatever. That one actually depicted mental illness, and so did Fight Club.
Well,
in a more interesting light, or
okay,
a more
we don't know. We don't know yet, though. We don't know yet. We haven't seen it.
We've already had people say it's superficial. So.
But we haven't seen it. Now, this first reaction says 24 hours later and I'm still processing Thunderbolts. It hit me on such a deep emotional level, something I never expected from an MCU film. Mental health is one of the most important conversations today, and the way this movie gives it a platform is genuinely astounding. How about this one right here?
So Infinity War didn't hit you harder in terms of that, or any of the
here. Let me get through a few of these. All right. Thunderbolts is a letdown. So I appreciate this. It says the film tries to tackle big issues, but ends up feeling shallow. Florence Pugh's skills are wasted on a weak script that fails to handle mental health properly. Let's see. Folks, do you want to go see a Thunderbolts movie that says this? Unites the MCU's traumatized anti-heroes for a shot at redemption through superhero group therapy and trauma healing, all against the backdrop of a world-ending catastrophe.
Does that sound like entertainment?
Or how about this one? Thunderbolts is an absolute beautiful story, focusing on mental health and its side effects in the most perfect way. Let's see. Ooh, a search for self-worth, reflection on depression and inner demons. What do you think? Would you want to see that? Or how about Florence Pugh is freaking incredible and brings the uncomfortable conversation of mental health to the forefront? How about this one? Thunderbolts is pretty damn good. Great pacing, tight script, and effective messaging. This movie really tries to say something about mental health, loneliness, and depression. Here we go.
Everybody needs some medication to see this movie.
Action scenes are fantastic. I love how it peels back the layers on mental health and inner demons. Go see this opening day. This is.
Did all these people get paid cash money
okay? So we know, this. Here's another one. Saw it on IMAX. Love how this movie balances action, humor, and serious mental health discussion. So you never. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Love how this movie balances action, humor, and serious mental health discussion so well you never feel bored. Fucking fuck me with a sandpaper dildo. What? You never feel bored talking about mental health. God damn, this is awful. So this is what has been given to the people who have seen this movie already. All you have to do is do a search of hashtag Thunderbolts mental health, and you see one after another, after another, after another. Look, this is case in point, folks. When companies pay shills to fucking watch movies or video games or TV shows, you see the same phrases over and over. They don't talk about look, Matthew, would you agree with me? They usually talk about one of three things, maybe one of two things. The character's sexual preference and gender, the fact that they've been oppressed or they're trying to strive, they've been aggressed in some shape, form, or fashion, their victimhood. And in this case, we get some kind of their mental anguish, their overcoming of, right? Like it's always the same buzzwords, same buzz phrases. And here we are, review after review, hearing about mental health.
Yeah, it's the only thing Hollywood actually knows anything about, because every one of them has a psychiatrist or psychologist, 100%. And they're pumping them full of drugs and all this other nonsense to fix their brains when they just have to get out and be a human being every now and then.
I mean, even this, the way the film addresses mental health in the back half especially is staggeringly effective. Do you want to go see a fucking Marvel movie about mental health? Do you want to see a 27-minute scene in therapy? A 27-minute therapy scene in this movie?
No. 27 minutes of the
27 minutes of this movie is a therapy session.
Yeah, no. I believe Taskmaster is in the movie, but not.
He's in it. He's in it. Yeah, Taskmaster, he's in it. He's in the movie.
She's in it?
No, that's a guy in the suit.
Well, yeah, but it's not a guy.
Could have fooled me.
Guy in the suit, but when they take off the mask, it's a girl.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry. I just, this is To me, this is embarrassing. This is Disney basically giving, if you're going to write a review, you saw the film, we gave you access.
Yeah.
You have to talk about how important this is for mental health. And I'm sorry, but like, I can't buy this. This, you see it all the time. Most people don't see it like this if they don't look. But this is the kind of shit that, okay, if you're going to write a review, folks, if you're going to write a review, at least get the fucking character's name right. The Thunderbolts is a refreshing feel to the MCU again. Yolanda
That's funny.
Carried this film with love and pain, and knowing that this film focuses on, everybody say it with me, mental health, makes this movie great. Yolanda? Who the fuck is Yolanda? Is there a Shaniqua? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. No, it's Yelena, not Yolanda. So this person, fucking ridiculous.
Yelena.
But again, man, like, it's just, I'm so tired. And I could go through 100 more of these, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm so tired.
Right. It is about the Red Guardian and Bob, right? It's all about the white men's mental health issues, right? I mean, that's what it's really about.
I just, I need somebody to see me. I need to be recognized. We're this, is this a victimhood movie? Like, that's not what I want to see out of Bucky. Like, I don't want to, who wants to watch this?
Yeah, no, and Bucky's part is ridiculous too. This movie doesn't offer anything, especially if you know what that asterisk is. It's just it's heartbreaking to see what's happened to the MCU since Infinity War. But give me just a couple minutes. Go ahead and chat with people for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. We're about to wrap it up because obviously we're over, and I want to respect Matthew's time. But I wanted to show you guys this because I want y'all to understand. Like, when we talk about this stuff, I know some people are like, "Oh, you're just being hyperbolic," or "You're being like whatever." And I, again, man, if you like something, great. Now, am I gonna joke around on here and tell my opinions? Of course I am. But at the same time, if you really enjoy something, great. And I wish that was the case for me with some things. I want to see this movie. I want to enjoy this movie. I don't want to see a fucking movie about mental health in the MCU and the Thunderbolts, right? Like, that's not what I want. And I'm going to dare say that's not what most people want. Like, the MCU is I think early in the MCU, you could pull those themes off of Tony Stark and alcoholism, right? Maybe Captain America adjusting to life, missing many decades and having to figure out, navigate life, other things. But like, nobody wants to see this. Like, nobody wants to see this. And I think this is going to be an absolute bomb. Mr. Magus, I got to check that out, by the way. I do. I saw your comment earlier. I need to check that out. Dreadnought K6 says, I think you have to be mentally ill to be an actor. And if you look at the number of, let's just say, special children that actors have in Hollywood and the mass numbers of kids that are, let's just say they're different, it's overwhelmingly higher percentage than the rest of the world. It's quite interesting. That pick earlier was like, with Bucky. I mean, and look, I love Bill Pullman's son. I think he's a good actor. I was talking about that earlier today, so I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna recognize the good things, but from what I understand, there's like a 27-minute therapy scene in this movie, from what I've understood. So, and I want to see ass kicking too. That's what we all want to see. I don't think we want to go see a mental health movie with Avengers in it. Like, that's just not, I just don't think that's what anybody wants to see. So Anyway, but yeah, the reason I wanted to bring that up is just to show you guys, like, when I research and I look through this stuff and I try to find articles and try to find interesting things, it's like, I got turned on to that and I just hashtagged Thunderbolts mental health, and you literally can just scroll down review after review. And these reviewers, they get gift bags, they get, Marvel merchandise, t-shirts, and, coffee travel mugs, and they get all kinds of bullshit, and they get it all free. So they get their access to say nice things about a movie, even in their heart, when they know that what they're watching is shit. They still will go back and they'll go on social media as their influencers, or if they write for a mainstream magazine, they'll go back and they'll write what a great time it was and how great this movie was. And Florence Pugh is so amazing and carries the film, because you're going to read a lot of those articles too, that her performance it carries the film. You're going to see that. But yeah, it's amazing. And that's Disney. That's Disney literally just saying, here's the messaging points. These are the talking points. This is what you have to say in your review, because we're giving you access to this film early, and you can get all the review, all the numbers from it, right? The views and things of that nature.
So many of these people don't even get that. All they get is an early screening pass, maybe. And the potential for other events in the future if they can pay for most of it, right? And then they say, oh yeah, you can get access to this or that, or you can come to Star Wars Celebration or whatever. It for the most part, they don't get shit except for Disney giving them a little pat on the head saying, okay, yeah, you can see this 2 days before everybody else.
I would say nowadays, I think when the industry was healthy, when there was money being made, I would say it's a bit different, but you're right. Nowadays, it probably is. And of course, that people will take scraps whenever they can. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. G.I. Jetman, I did want to answer this question real quick. Says, Pop, would it be okay if I did a stream just talking about the MCU? Absolutely. You stream, you do whatever you want to do. And this is one thing I will tell anybody. Like, regardless of how you feel about it, if you feel good about it, if you feel bad about it, there's nothing wrong with getting your opinion out there, with doing a stream, with having people come and hang out with you. Absolutely. So if you're interested, then absolutely, do what you want to do, and you don't have to worry about overstepping anything. That's not a concern.
I got to say this, G.I. Jetman, you be you.
Yeah.
Nobody will discount you for you being you. If you are authentic and you present who you are, people will respond appropriately. It's not overstepping. It's not offending anyone. I tend not to get offended, because when someone is offended, it's all on them. It's how they interpret things.
Right.
And they can choose to be offended, or they can choose not to be offended. They can choose their response appropriately. You do you. And I agree with Lawrence, and this is why I side with him on so many things, because he's like, his goal is not to dissuade you from watching someone else's stream. His goal is to present a compelling stream that people want to come and watch his stream, right? That's our goal here is we want people to come watch us. We don't want to disparage anyone else from doing whatever they want to do, because that's you expressing yourself. And if people are drawn to it, people are drawn to it. If you want to do it for you, that's for you, right? And so you have to make up your mind about why you want to be on YouTube, why you want to do the things that you do. Right. And so there's no offense taken. You do what you have to do to make your thing work. And that's what everybody else is doing.
Well, and I also think too, like, yes, I know that I will carry strong opinions and I'll vocalize those opinions. And that's what I do. And I've always been that way my whole life. Yeah. I will always be that way until I die. But at the very least, most of the time, it's like if you enjoy what you enjoy, then truthfully, like it doesn't matter what I say.
That's
And
right.
I know we all get fired up too, right? Like somebody says some shit, man, like you get fired up, you be like, man, that's bullshit. You know, it's like I told you, Matthew, like I love the Fallout TV show. There's flaws within that show, within the lore. The lore part of it's what pisses me off more than anything else because I think the lore is sacred. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like to me, I'm about to pee my panties. But ultimately, to me, like I think that yeah, nah, do your thing, man. Like that's what it's all about. And really, what Matthew said, if you are yourself and you're just being true to yourself, and then it doesn't matter. I trust me when I say this. I went to all the Marvel movies at the theater when they were coming out, when they were hot, when they were like, you know what I mean? And taking my son and looking forward, and here's Civil War, even Age of Ultron. Like I like that movie. I know it's not looked upon as very good with Marvel purists and Marvel fans, but like I liked that movie for what it was. Like I enjoyed it. There's character moments in there that I like. But like um over the last 5 years, it has soured me on where we're at. And now hearing these early things about Thunderbolts, it's like, man, I want this to be cool. It's not like I want it to be bad. I really want it to be good. But at the same time, yeah, I'm gonna let people know what I feel like, what I think, and some of that, yeah, it is. I get animated and stuff, and I cut up and everything. But at the end of the day, yeah, G.I. Jet, man, if you want to do a stream and you want it to be an MCU stream, you want it to be a Star Wars stream, whatever it is, man, do your
Do it.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's my thing. Do your thing. Because once you start doing it, you get better at it. And then you
Yeah.
start to see, like, oh, this is fun. No
Yeah.
matter how many viewers you have,
That's right.
it's fun. It's still fun.
Yep.
Like just ultimately to talk either by yourself or with another person.
Yeah,
That's
and,
where I look
and
at it.
and then you can start having conversations, and your opinions may
Hell yeah.
change. It'll evolve into something much different. And Rings of Power, I have no interest in Rings of Power ever in perpetuity. I watched, I think, the first episode of the first season, and I was done. I needed to see nothing else from that show, and everything I've heard from that show will never make me come back to it because they are eviscerating the actual lore, the Silmarillion, the original tales, the appendices. They are destroying it, and there's nothing in that show that will compel me to watch it. But I will say, Wheel of Time season 3 is actually written pretty well. If you can separate yourself from the evisceration that happened in the first 2 seasons, and the first season was eviscerated because they had a political agenda. The second season was eviscerated because of the writer's strike and they had shitty ass writers. The third season is actually doing a fairly good job of telling a story based on the poor ass foundation that they have, by continuing a storylines that can lead to some interesting things. And the acting is actually ramped up in the season 3 of Wheel of Time. And I'm more interested in watching that. I was reluctant, but my wife made me watch it. And so we started watching it. And I'm like, okay, this is actually engaging and I can do this. But the first 2 seasons are fucking garbage. Rings of Power is a different story. There's nothing I can do with Rings of Power. And there's no way to come back from that for me. And I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan and the Hobbit fan, and I know Tolkien from reading his writings and the screw tape letters and all this stuff. I just can't do it. Wheel of Time is different, but at the same time holds a similar place to me as Tolkien in terms of the lore, and what they've done to the lore and how they've changed it has really damaged it.
Right.
But this third season is engaging, and I can understand why people might re-engage with the show on that.
I think for me, Rings of Power. I didn't like the way they portrayed Galadriel. I didn't like the way they portrayed Elrond
Or
and
Sauron.
and
Elrond, Sauron, Galadriel,
Sauron.
they butchered them.
Just because, yeah, it is very much kind of not even really close to what they are, whether that's in the books or what we've been given, in the Peter Jackson movies. And then I
I'm talking
just
about the
felt,
books, but
yeah, no, I get it. I'm just saying, I'm talking about for me.
yeah.
And Isildur, I didn't care about the way he was too, but
No.
that's just me, but are there fans of the show? There are. Now I will say Amazon has a tough hill to climb because of how much money they spent on it, and the views that it's gotten is not great. People have spoken, but I understand that there still are people who are still enjoying it. And I will say, on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, it's got 84%. And IMDb, it's a 6.9 out of 10. That's higher than what I would have anticipated. But it is. So I mean, there are people that are really out there. I say simping for it. It's a curse phrase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people are out there really enjoying it, and so that's
Fine.
that's all
great.
right. But
I mean,
it wasn't for me. I tried and
as a huge
couldn't quite do
Tolkien
it.
fan, it's not for me. And I love Tolkien. I love Robert E. Howard. I love H.P. Lovecraft. These are the stories that I have always gravitated towards in lore. And I understand that there are elements in it that I don't like and don't appreciate for some of the racist nature of H.P. Lovecraft. You could say that, but it was a perspective of the time, and if you take it in that, it is what it is. But those lores and those mythologies have resonated with me, and the way that modern interpretation has taken those things has not been satisfactory.
That's one thing we both would agree on is whatever this modern audience, this mythical
it doesn't
modern audience
exist.
that people are chasing, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
They don't show up to support shows that focus on a myriad of current day topics or flashpoints, and so unfortunately we see a lot of our entertainment that follows that road.
Yep.
And then things get canceled or they lose money, as we've seen over and over, and you wonder when is it going to stop. You're right.
Yep.
I mean, you can only lose money for so long before you
Yep.
have no money, and but it still continues. So we'll see.
I encourage you guys to watch the interview with Robert Rodriguez and Joe Rogan that happened this past week. It was really good, and it emphasized a lot of things that some people didn't, apparently a whole lot of people didn't know happened. Robert Rodriguez is a brilliant filmmaker, and he rose in the time frame of Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino in the 1990s. And they made independent film that became mainstream. And Robert Rodriguez has kept his independent mindset.
Right.
Kevin Smith has not. Right. So that they've
Right.
changed as they've grown up and either morphed into mainstream or kept on the periphery. Robert Rodriguez went to Frank Frazetta and talked to him about licensing Ice and Fire and trying to make that live action. And he tried really hard to do that, and it fell through. And he tried to make a Conan series with Netflix, and it almost happened, but Netflix canceled it because it was too masculine, and they axed it and they threw it away because he was telling true Conan stories, right? And you can't do that in the modern era. And so this goes back to authenticity. What is the integrity of the story you're trying to tell? Robert Rodriguez has an idea of integrity in what he makes. And I appreciate that. And I will follow that to the nth degree. I liked his El Rey Network. I enjoyed his From Dusk Till Dawn TV series that he did. There were some issues I had with some of it, but for the most part, I loved that series. And what he wants to do, I'll pay attention to because he is authentic. And authenticity is the new currency. And
Yep.
you cannot deny it. Robert
Yep.
Meyer Burnett said it, and I will
Well,
quote that to the end of my days.
that extends to doing this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
people will sniff it out. They'll
Yeah.
sniff you out if you're not authentic. You know, they'll sniff you out and they'll figure it out. And that's just the way it is. I mean, it's, you know, any kind of content, any kind of art form, right? People will sniff it out and they'll figure it out. You know, and with big budget shows and things that are being produced right now, you know, it's easy for people to, when it doesn't smell right and it
Yeah.
doesn't look right and it doesn't
Right.
seem right, people are going to know it, right? And we've
Exactly.
seen that. So, you know, hopefully we'll get back to, hey, we'll get back to telling funny jokes where people don't get their feelings so hurt. We'll get back to making movies where men can be men and women can be women. You
If you
know,
go
we'll get
into
back to
YouTube,
hero's journey. We'll get back, you know, to those things that people relate to.
if you go back and you do YouTube searches and you go back and you look at first reactions to um, Tropic Thunder or some of these most offensive movies that have ever been made in terms of comedy, and you look at the the POCs, minorities, however you want to define people, and how they view these things now. You go to YouTube and you find them, and you find people laughing their freaking asses off at how funny that shit is, and talking about it, saying, "I've never seen this. Why have I never seen this? This is hilarious." And people appreciate comedy for what it is because they are being authentic with their audience,
Yep.
and they're not playing a game for the studio, for the algorithm, for whatever. They're being authentic to themselves, and I reward those people with comments and likes because I'm like, okay, this is real, and I want to support the reality of this because this is an authentic view. And if they're offended by something, they're offended by it, and it's authentic. But it's at the same time they laugh at themselves and they laugh at the product, and they realize why they might have been offended by it, but why they're not now, because it reflects a comedy, and that's what comedy should be. That's why comedy and drama are face to face in Shakespeare, right? They're part of the same coin. And
I think we all evolve too, right? Like
yeah,
we all kind of evolve and things that maybe we didn't like or didn't appreciate or understand at one time, as we revisit it again, you may change your mind about that. You may understand or see the humor in it. Or if you're someone who appreciates the, you know, thinking about writing or delving into, you know, scripting, right? Scripts and dialogue and acting, like the actual scenes and how is it shot and, you know, all that stuff. And as you start to appreciate those different things, you can change your mind on
yeah,
something that you never thought about before. Because before you were just like, yeah, I heard about that movie, man. That movie sucks. But you've actually never seen it,
right.
right? You've never actually seen it. When people ask you about it, you lie and you say, oh, yeah, that movie's bullshit. I mean, I know all about it. You know, so yeah, like we all evolve and change and shape our opinions about different stuff, and that's what's fun about it. That's what's fun about like coming on here and talking about this stuff and getting different opinions, seeing people in the chat, going through people bouncing stuff back and forth and bouncing stuff back and forth with you. And speaking of bouncing stuff back and forth or out, I'd say we're probably about due to bounce out of here, folks. We've gone about 45 minutes over what we normally do, and I want to, like I said, I always want to respect Matthew's time, but I also want to respect your time as an audience. And always, like, we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And Matthew, of course, it's always fun chopping it up with you, man. Every week. We'll be back again next week. Do you have anything coming up? You know, we can, photography wise on Instagram, anything that you've got you want to push out there right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've got tomorrow comic book cover rendition is coming out. I think it's pretty good. I've got a Turtles Tuesday coming out next week that I think I'm very happy with the way it turned out. But yeah, check it out. I got a comment from the GI Joe official fan page on my Snake Eye Saturday post from this week. So check out my Instagram, Mamu's action figure blog, and see what's going on there. I'm having fun. I love taking photos of this stuff, and I'm trying to hone a craft, but still crank out a lot of stuff, which is a challenge. But I think that stress sparks some creativity. That's what's going on with me lately. Just trying to find a couple things out there in the wild and seeing
baby.
how they go, but having fun with it. So I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Check it out. And then we'll see you next week, and we'll talk about more fun stuff.
Yep. Have Thunderbolts review and let you know all about mental health. That's my goal next week. Even though I'm not qualified, I'll see what I can do. But yeah, really appreciate it. I'll be on with my cousin tomorrow on Sevens Wild on a 3 Star Draws channel. And that'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. So if you guys want to come over, listen to a little G.I. Joe talk. Tomorrow night, we're doing what could we do to retro toys to make them futuristic. So that could be quite interesting. So, yeah, appreciate you guys always. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you next week.